among them the 28th President of our country, Woodrow Wilson, called it progressivism. Since Wilson's presidency, progressivism has made many inroads into our system of government and our way of life. It has coexisted uneasily with the principles of the Declaration. Because it is opposed to those principles, it is not possible for the two to coexist forever. Progressivism was not native to America. Wilson and the progressives candidly admitted that they took it from Otto von Bismarck's Germany, whose state-centric society they admired. Progressives like Wilson argued that America needed to leave behind the principles of the founding and catch up with the more advanced and sophisticated system of relatively unimpeded state power, nearly perfected. He acknowledged that it was a foreign science, speaking very little of the language of English or American principle, which offers none but what are, to our minds, alien ideas. He thus described America, still stuck with its original system of government, as, quote, slow to see the superiority of the European system. Progressivism was the first mainstream American political movement, with the possible exception of the pro-slavery reactionaries on the eve of the Civil War, to openly oppose the principles of the Declaration. Progressives strove to undo the Declaration's commitment to equality and natural rights, both of which they denied were self-evident. To Wilson, the unalienable rights of the individual were, quote, a lot of nonsense. Wilson redefined liberty not as a natural right antecedent to the government, but as, quote, the right of those who are governed to adjust government to their own needs and interests. In other words, liberty no longer preceded the government as a gift from God, but was to be enjoyed at the grace of the government. The government, as Wilson reconceived it, would be, quote, beneficent and indispensable. Progressives such as John Dewey attacked the framers for believing that their ideas were immutable truth, good for all times and places, when instead they were, according to him, historically conditioned and relevant only in their own time. Now Dewey and the progressives argued those ideas are to be displaced. Progressivism seeks to replace the basic premises of the Declaration of Independence, and hence our form of government. It holds that our rights and our dignities come not from God, but from government. It requires of the people a subservience and weakness incompatible with a constitution premised on the transcendent origin of our rights. You will not be surprised to learn that the progressives had a great deal of contempt for us, the American people. Before he entered politics, Wilson would describe the American people as, quote, selfish, ignorant, timid, stubborn, and foolish. He lamented that we do too much by vote and too little by expert rule. He proposed that the people be ruled by administrators who use them as tools. He once again aspired to be like Germany, where the people, he said admiringly, were docile and acquiescent. The century of progressivism did not go well. The European system that Wilson and the progressives scolded Americans for not adopting, which he called nearly perfect, led to the governments that caused the most awful century that the world has ever seen: Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, and Mao, all were intertwined with the rise of progressivism, and all were opposed to the natural rights on which our Declaration are based. Many progressives expressed admiration for each of them shortly before their governments killed tens of millions of people. It was a terrible mistake to adopt progressivism's rejection of the Declaration's vision of universal, unalienable natural rights. Wilson's claim that natural rights must give way to historical progress could justify the greatest mistake in our history. In Plessy versus Ferguson, my court upheld Louisiana's system of racial segregation because, quote, separate but equal, it observed, was reasonable in light of the established usages, customs, and traditions of the people, and with a view to the promotion of their comfort and the preservation of the public peace and good order. It comes as no surprise that the progressives embraced eugenics. Progressives believed that Darwinian science, the idea of ever-advancing progress written into biology itself, had proven the inherent superiority and inferiority of the races. It was only a small step for Wilson to resegregate the federal workforce. It was only another step for the government to launch sterilization programs on those deemed by the experts of the day to be unfit to reproduce, upheld by my court in Buck v. Bell in an opinion written by no less a figure than Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. We can argue over whether you believe in immutable, absolute natural rights or the Wilsonian idea of ever-progressing history. Indeed, your School of Civic Leadership was created to host just such arguments. But let me ask you to consider the consequences. European thinkers have long criticized America for remaining trapped in a Lockean world with its weak, decentralized government and strong individual rights. They say our 18th century Declaration has prevented us from progressing to higher forms of government. But we were fortunate not to trade our Lockean bonds for the supposedly enlightened world of Hegel, Marx, and their followers. Fascism, which after all was National Socialism, triggered wars in Europe and Asia that killed tens of millions. The socialism of the Soviet Union and the People's Republic of China proceeded to kill more tens of millions of their own people. This is what happens when natural rights give way to the higher good of notions of history, progress, or, as Thomas Sowell has written, the visions of the anointed. None of this, of course, was an improvement on the principles of the Declaration. Tocqueville's Democracy in America is largely about how America owed its superiority over Europe to its conscious decision to reject central planning and administrative rule, root and branch. Progressivism, in other words, is retrogressive. As Calvin Coolidge said on the 150th anniversary of the Declaration, and I quote, "If all men are created equal, that is final. If they are endowed with inalienable rights, that is final. If governments derive their just powers from the consent of the government, that is final. No advance, no progress can be made beyond these propositions. If anyone wishes to deny their truth or their soundness, the only direction in which they can proceed historically is not forward but backward toward the time when there was no equality, no rights, of the individuals, no rule of the people. When Abraham Lincoln addressed the assembled crowd at Gettysburg, they had gathered to memorialize the past, but Lincoln's address urged them to not do so with complacency. Instead, Lincoln said they should look to the past as inspiration to take them to greater heights in the future. And I quote, "It is rather for us to be here, dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we were highly resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation shall have a new birth of freedom, and that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth." As we are gathered to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration, it may be tempting to do so as if we are passive spectators. It may be tempting to enjoy our tea and crumpets, treat the Declaration like a shiny object or a keepsake, and listen to the sound of our own voices. We could get into debates over whose conception of the founding is better, over how we are so much better than our founders were, over what we would do differently. We could be careful to not do anything that exposes us to criticism, costs us friends, or hurts our career prospects. But in my view, we must find in ourselves that same level of courage that the signers of the Declaration had, so that we can do for our future what they did for theirs. Each of you will have opportunities to be courageous every day, whether your calling in life is as a day laborer, a stay-at-home mom, a small business owner, an educator, an office worker, a judge, or some other endeavor. It may mean speaking up in class tomorrow when someone around you expects you to live by lies. It may mean confronting today's fashionable bigotries, such as anti-Semitism. It may mean standing up for your religion when it is mocked and disparaged by a professor. It may mean not budging on your principles when it will entail losing friends or being ostracized. It may mean running for your school board when you see that they're teaching your children to hate your values and our country. It may mean turning down a job offer that requires you to make moral or ethical compromises. One thing I do know to be true: it will mean waking up every day with the resolve to withstand unfair criticism and attacks. These are the choices that will confront you, and you must decide whether to respond with timidity or with courage, as the signers of the Declaration did. It will, of course, not be easy. It never is. But if, like me, you need a greater source of strength than yourselves, you will need to rely on your faith to guide and to sustain you through it all. You will disappoint people you thought were friends and endure personal attacks, as well as attacks on those you care about. But if you stand, you will find that courage, like cowardice, can be habit-forming, and it will become a part of your life and a part of who you are. And I may dare say it is liberating. You will also be a living example for others to emulate. So by all means, celebrate the Declaration of Independence. It is the most important act of American history, the foundation of our Constitution, and as Lincoln said, the sheet anchor of our republic. But I implore you to celebrate it by standing up for it, by defending it, and by recommitting yourselves to living up to its ideals. Channel the courage of the men who faced down a king and signed it, or a president who led the nation in a civil war, rather than permit this House to be divided by the great contradiction of slavery. Take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure, and with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, let us mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Thank you, and may God continue to bless our country.
Yeah, wow. If you don't take that to be a warning, and if you don't take that to be a call to action by Clarence Thomas, I listened to that probably 3 or 4 times today. And every single time, I still got goosebumps. Because everything this Supreme Court justice is telling you is that we're in trouble, they're trying to take away your way of life, and it's not going to be easy, and it may end up being bloody. You may have to do some things you don't want to do, but you have to do them. The people, as he mentioned back during the days of the formation of the country, they did things that they didn't want to do. They had to do it. They had to do it to secure our future. We have to do it to secure the future of others. Every single day, it's becoming more and more apparent that our enemy is the Democrats. It is the media. They want to destroy everything good about this country. And when you hear a Supreme Court justice come out that way, on fire, telling you, now you don't have a choice. Now is the time the bells have to be ringing. Now is the time you get off the bleachers and get into the game. However you can. If it means replying to every single one of these nuts, if it means helping others who, don't have the motivation, or they're getting propagandized and falling for it, whatever it is, now is the time. I could not have said that. No, there's no way I could have said that any more eloquently than he just did. And introducing a new feature of the show, I'm going to begin doing some intro stuff like we do the outro. Gives everybody time to get in, hear something you might not have heard, and gives everybody a chance to, say hello to everybody and then see something. I'll be copied soon. That's going to happen soon. But in any event, I hope you really got something from that, because we see President Trump fighting all the time. And it's obvious that there are other people behind the scenes, like Clarence Thomas, who are in the fight as well. The understanding that progressivism, or whatever they want to call it, is the death bell for America. Starting with Woodrow Wilson, all the way up to today with Bernie and Mamdani and all the idiocy. I posted a few things on X today, and it's become apparent to me that they know the end is near. They know at this point, grab what you can, destroy what you can, because they're not going to win. I don't know if you saw it, but obviously you know about Mamdani and what he's doing, and going to raise taxes on everybody. I didn't have this ready for the show because this woman is absolutely screaming. And she's beginning to echo the same refrain that you're going to hear over and over and over. The memo has gone out. And if you're not ready to get on the front lines, you're going to be run over. Listen to this. I think this is only 24 seconds. And then I'll tell you who she is.
We are open for business here. But how dare you tell me, as mayor of this city, to tell the people in this city that we cannot and should not, in enact what is one of the most limited powers that we have, and that is to decide how we will drive revenue to the school district of Philadelphia.
Don't tell me how to tax you, says the mayor of Philadelphia. I will tax you. I will take your money. She comes off with a different cadence than Mondami, but the words are still the same. They know now that they are going to try and grab as much money as possible from Americans or throw you in jail. They didn't like what happened yesterday. They didn't like no tax on tips. They don't like no tax on overtime. They don't like the fact that seniors got different kinds of credit. They don't like it whatsoever. And so now they've been unleashed. So I don't think you can sit on the sidelines anymore. That's you right there. Her and Mondami, that's just two. I don't know if you heard about the Minnesota district attorney. She put out an arrest warrant for the ICE agent. They've lost it. This is not how people who are winning act. You don't have this kind of demeanor. You don't scream at people like this.
We are open for business here, but how dare you tell me, as mayor of this city, to tell the people in this city that we cannot and should not enact what is one of the most limited powers that we have, and that is to decide how we will drive revenue to the school district of Philadelphia.
Anger usually tells you where somebody's coming from. Anger usually tells you that somebody has reached the end of their rope and there's not many options left. Anger, visceral anger about the fact that we can't get our hands on your money anymore. It destroys progressivism. Just like Clarence Thomas said, now is the time you got to draw the line. They are making no bones about it. More and more of these people are going to come forward and let you know we're here to take everything you effing got. Because they can, unless people stand up. Remember what happened in 1776, how this whole thing started. Man, aren't we getting close to that again? You're telling people we're going to take your property, we're going to do this. Why? Why all of a sudden, the day after everybody got a tax break, the day after people got big refunds, the very next day, we're going to tax the hell out of you? That's not winning. If you think that's winning, you're falling for the gaslighting and the propaganda. If you think that's what winning looks like, you're done. Go ahead and open the bank account, cut them the checks, do whatever you need to do. You're done. And it's so funny because, yes, I live here in South Florida, and these people, Mondami, women like her, and some of these other politicians are getting laughed at. Ain't gonna happen. Sorry, honey. No. People I would never have thought were ready to fight back are fighting back. I think we're getting very close to the end game here. I think they know they can't stop Trump. I think they know they can't stop you. See, that scares them the most. Because right now they're just lashing out. What can I take from you so that I can enable my progressive Stalinistic craziness? Because I can't offer you anything. I can only take it. See, that's when you know things have gone really, really, really bad. When there's nothing that I can physically or mentally say, let me show you what I can do for you. And now they're straight up. I don't care what you think. I'm just going to take it. Yeah, country got started in 1776 just because of that. Because you didn't even give representation. Because you just took. And now these people, man, it's like living through a time warp. We're right back to 1776. If you don't know what happened back then, go look up your history. Go look and see what happens. And now the contrast is becoming so great. You got one guy over here who's telling you, I'm going to let you keep as much of your money as I possibly can. And you've got the entire other party freaking out. Liz Warren, AOC, Bernie, everybody. No, we can't do this. We need to take it all. And I feel so bad for the people in some of these blue areas. The people in New York, people in New Jersey, people who, at this point, Philadelphia, even in the little enclaves where these tyrants are going to try and destroy people because they're not going to go easy. They're not going to go quiet into the night. So you can't either. Well, Barry, I'm just 78 years old. I'm here by myself. I remember way back when I first started talking about the coming war. And I was telling people, yeah, there are going to be some people who are going to have to be in the kitchen making cookies, metaphorically speaking. Because there are going to be some people who don't have the ability to have a microphone and lights and a video or get on stage like President Trump is doing today or even go to a rally. But there's a couple of things it's mandatory that you do. Number one, find your legion. Find the people in your area that can help support you. You got to have that. Number two, coincidentally, number two, because you have that number two right, you better get armed. You better get armed to the hilt. You better get armed to the point where it's like Mad Max and Thunderdome kind of armed. This can break apart very quickly, especially in some blue areas. When these people were used to getting stuff free, aren't getting everything free, they are going to be unleashed into various neighborhoods. You don't want to be the person sitting home, even at 80 years old by yourself. You don't want to be that person when they kick in the front door to come take what you have. And so I would make sure that I am quite well versed in the Second Amendment and the tools that the Second Amendment provide for you. Those two things together are going to go a long way, but it's just the start. And number three, which Clarence Thomas said, is you got to get that faith going. Because we're about to enter some crazy territory, some crazy times. And I just played you a couple videos. I can literally show you Mandami again today. I can show you what's going on in many of these blue areas, and it's a crazed look. Just a complete foaming at the mouth type of look. Winners don't look that way. Winners don't look crazy. Winners look relaxed because, they've got it that way. Don't take my word for it. Look at how these people are acting. I don't know if you know, but a guy today tried to jump over the fence at the White House. What the hell are you doing? That's a good way to get lit up. If they're going to jump over the fence at the White House, what do you think they'll do at your house when they can't get their free stuff? Or the fact that they know certain people got certain refund checks. That's another thing. All these people, they're now knowing today, all the bad guys know a lot of people got a little bit flushed yesterday in the days to come. They know, they're watching. $10,000, $12,000, you're going to have to give some of that up. Be very careful. Talk amongst your friends. Pray, and get ready. So today, President Trump is going to be talking in Las Vegas, obviously a huge hospitality area, and he's going to be talking about no tax on tips. They've got the entire background. There it is. It's already set to go. Smaller venue, and I'm looking at the people in the audience. They seem to be a little bit, I don't know, older. I was expecting more hospitality people, but I guess that woman in the front might be a hospitality worker. But in any event, that's what we're going to be looking at in a little bit as that gets filled in. Let me talk to SV. What you got?
Hey, I'm reporting in from behind enemy lines, Barry.
Oh yeah, up in Virginia. That's right. Uh-huh.
Commie, Virginia. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Like, did you hear about that? I'm sure you did. This morning, the former Democratic
yeah.
Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, he shot and unalived his wife before he took his own life. I mean, this is the guy that was going against taking all your weapons. I mean, this shows they're getting violent. They're all getting violent. And I posted a meme. I said, you do realize if Democrats stop shooting people, gun violence would drop by 90%.
Any reason? Any? Have they come up with any idea as to why it happened?
He was apparently going, and this is kind of weird because they've been separated for 2 years, and he was living at their marital house, so they've been there. So I guess things heated up. She had filed for a divorce recently, so I think it was coming to an end. And this happened while both of his adult children were in the house, so that's terrible too for the kids. It's horrible. I
Wow.
mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot more victims.
were the kids harmed?
No,
So
he
he just
did not
took
harm them.
out his wife and took out himself.
That's right.
I'm telling
It's
you,
horrible.
I wasn't making it up. I showed you that crazy lady. You understand what's going on in New York? They're
Oh my
losing
gosh.
it. I mean, they are absolutely losing it. I saw that, what's his name? The guy from Chicago, he came out literally screaming today.
That's all they do. They screech. They screech like harpies. That's their MO, right? And the big glasses, the crazy eyes, the crazy hair, the hands wilding all over.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know how to have a conversation. I had a conversation with a friend 2 days ago at pickleball. He wasn't really conservative, but he and I actually had a conversation. Afterwards, I said, it's so nice to be able to talk to somebody without them yelling at me about politics. You know what I mean? So that was encouraging.
We all just have to band together and understand there's people out there that want to change our way of life forever. And as they say, by any means necessary. And it's
That's
funny
right.
because I see so many people who blame boomers. I see so many people, you guys had it easy. Like, what do you mean easy? You got it easy. You don't want to do anything. I mean, we didn't have all this social media stuff. We actually had to go see people, talk to them.
Right.
It's getting crazy.
They want it all for free. Yeah.
You had texted me. He
Yes.
said President Trump is unleashed.
I'll let you handle that one because he's been going crazy. The last one was about 20 minutes ago where he's on Air Force One headed to Vegas, but he went and torched Jessica Tarloff. Do you want to read that one?
Yeah,
So
let
it's
me
not
show.
too long.
Let me show it real quick. It says, "I'm on Air Force One heading to Las Vegas and Arizona for greetings and speeches on no tax on tips, a windfall for our great American citizens. I am watching one of the least attractive." Oh, he went after her this way. I am watching one of the least attractive and talented people on all of television, Jessica Tarloff. Her voice is so grating and terrible. I had to turn her off. Her Democrat sound bites are fake. She makes up poll numbers and nobody challenges her because she's so boring. I have among the best poll numbers I've ever had. And why shouldn't I? All the country does is win. CNN had me at 100% saying they never saw that before. Get her off the air. She's bad for our country. I hear Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens are dying fast. Their numbers are terrible. Nobody believes them anymore. As well, you shouldn't. Let me just put that in there. They were fake MAGA, and now they've been exposed. President Donald J. Trump. Now, Megan actually put some dirt on her own coffin. She said she was never MAGA. Yeah, I mean, she actually came out and made a video. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I may have voted a certain way, but I was never MAGA. Let me see. Oh, since then, SV, since then, he came out with another one. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Here, let me get this one. A Trump-hating judge for the first time in history wants Congress to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for a glorious ballroom instead of accepting donations from great American companies and citizens. This is a first. In other words, he wants taxpayers to go go pay for the ballroom that he's getting for free instead of donors and patriots. The ballroom is free to our country, a gift and vital to our national security. This judge, who works for another judge who was just mandamused, that was obviously Boasberger, for the unfair and biased way he treats me, should be ashamed of himself. I get the feeling that Trump has had it. I mean,
Seems that way.
Bo Asperger couldn't do it, so he had one of his pals write it, and it's gonna get just slapped down. It means nothing anymore.
Yeah, I mean the TDS is just it's like an infection. It's everywhere. I mean, and it's getting worse. These people. The thing I don't like is that it's becoming, as we see now with these stories, more violent. It's the violence that's showing up. You know, today in Virginia, I voted for. They have the a measure to vote for the gerrymandering against it, for it, and you know that's a big issue. If that happens, our state's basically done. We'll have like one red district left. It's going to basically be run from Fairfax, Virginia. So
It's awful.
yeah,
Absolutely awful.
it's getting worse. So like you said, everybody prepare, lock and load, always be prepared, keep your head on the swivel, and don't be scared, be prepared.
Yeah, and find other people. If you're not, how can I say this? If you're not pew inclined, and you're like, I just not used to it. I don't know what to do. Find some people who can help you feel comfortable. Once you
Yeah.
feel comfortable handling a pew, all that stuff goes away. And you'll realize at that point, it's not. And it was funny because I met Robin. She's from the Carolinas, and I'm from Connecticut. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't want any guns in the house. She's like, what are you talking about? You do realize I'm from the South. And I went to go see her grandmother. And I'll tell you this quick story. I go to see her grandmother. We go to visit. Her grandma back then was probably 4'10", little lady. And right by the door was a shotgun. And I look
Ooh.
over and I'm like, the shotgun's almost as tall as you. How do you handle that? And she literally picked it up, saw a squirrel, which
Holy
okay.
crap.
I'm like, it's like that, huh? She's like, that's
I
all
love
you
it.
got it. That's all you got to do. I'm like, wow. Then her other aunt or cousin lived up on the side of a mountain, and she used to have to deal with coyotes all the time. And so up there, if you see a coyote, you have license to take that coyote out because it eats rabbits, it eats your pets, everything else. And she used to have a motion detector out her back door. So as she was sitting there, the lights would come on, meaning something was there. And boy, if she wouldn't be right there, get ready to. She got comfortable. They made me comfortable. And I was never around it. Even though my dad was a military guy, I was never around it. So I had to learn how to get comfortable. Luckily, I had a Southern woman to show you. They can show you a whole lot of things.
I bet. Well, my dad was Navy, so I grew up with that. I mean, originally from New Jersey, so I have no fear of it. I have a couple of things here, so I'm prepared.
All right.
I'm ready. Yeah.
All right.
Like
All
I
right.
said,
So
be prepared. Don't be scared, folks.
It's 7:03. President Trump has not come on as of yet. So now I can I'll do a spot that I got to run here, and then we'll go right into the intro. Be right back.
Okay.
You ever see something in the store and think to yourself, I got to have that? That's exactly for me. That's the kind of product I could see myself in. Well, if you're a MAGA Trump supporter, this is something you are going to want to take a look at. Check out the Trump MAGA sneakers. These sneakers are beautiful. They're awesome. Red, white, and blue. Got the accents, red on the heel. Beautiful, beautiful sneakers. If you guys have ever wanted to make a statement, if you're ever out in the club, if you're ever just shopping, maybe at the golf course, well, they're not really golf sneakers, but you could still wear them playing golf. I would tell you to jump all over this. These sneakers are awesome. Every time I've worn them, whether it's down to a Dolphins football game, whether it's going into a restaurant, it always catches eyes. People always say, what are those? And I tell them very simply, they are the Trump gold sneakers. Now, I know some of you guys might feel this is a little bit audacious, a little bit bold, but why not be bold right now? Trust me, these aren't just shoes. These are a fashion statement. They are conversation starters. The gold shine, the red, white, and blue accents. You're literally wearing your American pride on your feet. And let me tell you, nothing shuts down a woke lecture faster than walking in with these bad boys on your feet. But here's the thing, they don't just look good. They feel good. They're comfortable. They're durable. They're lightweight. These aren't the kind of sneakers you're going to leave in the box. They're not going to sit in the back of your closet. So toss your dusty, old, worn out shoes aside. You've been wearing holes in them. This shoe people are going to take notice of. You're going to want to have these. The best part, the message that it sends, never surrender. Every time you put these on, it's a reminder that you stand for the flag, that you stand for the blue. Don't back down. You keep fighting for everything that you believe in. They also make a perfect gift. Everybody knows that's somebody who's a Trump supporter who's looking for something that they can wear with pride. They'll flip out when they unwrap these bad boys. So go ahead and get yourself a pair of these Trump Gold Never Surrender sneakers. Head to themagaoffers.com/Barry. And if you go to themagaoffers.com/Barry, you can use that link for up to 15% off of your entire order today. You got to get some. Go get some Trump MAGA sneakers and start stepping. Your fans, your friends, your coworkers, some of them might not like it, but who the hell cares? Go there today.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they did, every country, including Italy, where he's stationed, every single country in the world would be in trouble. So we're doing very well with respect to that, having to do with the whole situation on Iran. The blockade is amazing. It's holding up very strong, very powerfully. And I think we're making a lot of progress in that. But the Pope has to understand Iran, very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The world would be in great danger.
Mr. President, would you meet with the Pope to even out your differences? Because Catholics are torn.
I don't think it's necessary.
Mr. President, you spoke with Prime Minister Modi just a couple of days ago. What was the conversation like? What is it that is on the table now?
I had a very good talk with him, and he's a friend of mine from India. And he's doing great. We had a very good conversation.
Mr. President, do you considering extending the ceasefire with Iran?
With who?
With Iran.
We're doing very well, I can tell you. Maybe it'll happen before that. I'm not sure it needs to be extended. Just so you know, Iran wants to make a deal, and we're dealing very nicely with them. We've got to have no nuclear weapons. If we do, that's a big factor. And they're willing to do things today that they weren't willing to do 2 months ago.
All right, so in case you guys don't know, this was President Trump, obviously, but this was taken before he got to Joint Base Andrews and flew out to Las Vegas. So this was about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock Eastern time, and he took some questions. He dropped some serious nuggets in here if you guys haven't seen this.
Do you have any news about Ukraine? Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine?
Hezbollah stick to the ceasefire?
I think they will. I think it's going to be, actually it's very exciting because it's 48 years. We're going to be meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, as you know, and the president of Lebanon. And I had a great talk with both of them today. They're going to be having a ceasefire, and that'll include Hezbollah. And I think it could be number 10 for me.
Mr. President, do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine? Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine?
Ukraine is moving along. I wish they could get along, frankly. A lot of people are dying in Ukraine. We'll see what happens. There's things happening there. We're focused so much right now in Iran, seeing if we can get that completed. And I think we're going to do it. And I think if you look, the stock market is good. The oil prices are coming down, and it's looking very good that we're going to make a deal with Iran, and it's going to be a good deal. It's going to be a deal with no nuclear weapons.
When is the next in-person round of negotiations on the war in Iran? When will
They're
that
all
take place?
important. I mean, it's not a question of around. All of them are
When will
important.
the next in-person
Probably,
meeting take
maybe
place?
over the weekend.
Will you send the vice president?
Maybe over there.
Will you send the
Just
vice
so you
president?
understand, the blockade has been incredible. It's held. They're not doing any business. They're unable to do any business because of the blockade. And so the combination of having no Navy, having no Air Force, having no anti-aircraft equipment, they have nothing. Everything is gone, including their leaders. Now they have a new set of leaders, and we find them very reasonable.
And Mr. President, on the 20-year minimum to stop enriching uranium, would you?
Well,
would that
we
be
haven't agreed to
acceptable
any.
you?
We
Would
haven't
that be
agreed to any.
acceptable to you, sir, if that's the final sticking point?
What
Would you
we
be
have is
comfortable with
we have a statement, very powerful statement, that they will not have, beyond 20 years, that they will not have nuclear weapons. That's beyond. There's no 20-year limit.
Before you wrap up, Attorney General, anyone interested, can you please give us more information on if they'll go against the weaponization?
I think that Todd Blanche is doing a very good job, from what I'm seeing. All I can say thus far, I think Todd Blanche is doing a very good job.
If there's no deal, would you be willing to extend the ceasefire, or will the fighting resume, Mr. President?
I would say the fighting. If there's no deal, fighting resume.
Okay, and then on gas prices, how much longer will Americans continue to see these high gas prices?
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon, with the danger that entails. So the gas prices have come down very much over the last 3-4 days. I know, that's what ABC says. But the fact is that if you look at the stock market's up, everything's doing really well. And the big thing we have to do is we have to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, because if they do, you want to talk about problems, you'd have problems. So very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bombers. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive. Very complicated subject. I don't think we're waiting. I think we're moving very fast. It could happen pretty quickly. Say it.
How long you could sustain the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz?
The what?
How long you could keep the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz?
We're doing very well with the blockade. It's very routine for us. The Navy is incredible. And I think the blockade is doing very well. It's no ship is even thinking about entering. No ship is going past our Navy.
Why are you fighting with the Pope? And are you worried it's upsetting your
No, I don't. I have to do what's right. The Pope has to understand that. Very simple. I have nothing against the Pope. His brother's MAGA all the way. I like his brother, Louis. I'm not fighting with him. The Pope made a statement. He says Iran can have a nuclear weapon. I say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if the Pope looked at the 42,000 people that were killed over the last 2 or 3 months as a protester with no weapons, no nothing, I mean, you take a look at that. So I can disagree with the Pope. I have a right to disagree. I have a right to disagree with the Pope.
What do you say to people who see that, who see your criticism of the...
Look, nothing, I have no disagreement with the fact the Pope can say what he wants, and I want him to say what he wants, but I can disagree. I think that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they do, the whole world would be at jeopardy. The Middle East will be blown up and the whole world will be at jeopardy. We're very close to making a deal. That'll be a great thing. The Pope has to understand, Iran has killed more than 42,000 people over the last few months. Think of it, protesters without guns, without anything. They were totally unarmed protesters. The Pope has to understand that. This is the real world. It's a nasty world. But as far as the Pope and saying what he wants, he can do that. Now, I know the Pope's brother. He is a big MAGA person. He's got MAGA all over his house. His name is Louis. He's actually a great guy. And I'm sure the Pope is a great guy. I haven't met him. But I disagree with the Pope. If the Pope would allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, you can't do that.
There are people that are saying that the Pope is bad.
Anthony Mershak from MTV.
No, not really.
Anthony Mershak from MTV Lebanon.
What?
Anthony Mershak from MTV Lebanon. I would like to ask you regarding congratulations for the 10th war.
Yeah, it's very exciting. With Lebanon, it's very exciting. I think we're going to have a deal. We're going to have a meeting, first time in 44 years. And Lebanon will be meeting with Israel, and they're probably going to do it at the White House.
When do you think, President, when do you think they will?
Over the next week or two.
Or the next week. And do you think this agreement can reach?
I do. I think
without Hezbollah
I
agreeing
think
to the
we will have an
government?
agreement between Lebanon, and they're going to take care of Hezbollah. But they're going to be working on Hezbollah right now. But we'll have an agreement between Israel, very importantly, and Lebanon.
Will you support our Lebanese army as well?
I would. Yeah.
Iran's going to execute.
Has Hezbollah agreed to this ceasefire? I mean, how do you even...
They're all agreeing. It's a very nice little package for about a week. And we're not going to have lots of bombs dropping. And we're going to see if we can make peace between Lebanon and Israel.
And this is more on the Pope, Mr. President, because there was a group of bishops that did put out a statement saying the Pope isn't merely exercising his opinion, he's preaching the gospel. I mean, what do you say to people that do this?
Well, I want him to preach the gospel. I'm all about the gospel. But I also know that you cannot let a certain country, which is a very mean-spirited country, have a nuclear weapon. If they did, they would use it, and I think they'd use it quickly, and they would kill many millions of people. So, you know, the Pope could disagree with me on that, but certainly we're allowed to have that. I'm all about the gospel. I'm about it as much as anybody can be. But I can't allow, as President of the United States of America, I can't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. And here's the story. They won't have. They've already agreed not to have. That's good news. And I think the Pope will be very happy.
The Federal Reserve should wait and see about this Iran war before lowering interest rates. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree. I think we should have lower interest rates.
Iran's going to execute 4 more protesters, reportedly, including the first woman protester. What do you tell Iran?
Well, tell that to the Pope. What did you say? Tell that to the Pope.
You want to pass things up
that Iran is going to... Did you just hear that? Iran is going to execute 4 people, including a woman?
Trump, the Lebanese love you so much. Would you visit Lebanon?
Extend the ceasefire. What makes you extend that?
I don't know if we're going to have to, but if we need to, I would do that.
Wait, that's important. Sorry.
What are you telling the airlines and the oil companies about the way you're going to open up the trade?
So if you look at the oil and if you look at the price we're paying, it's about half what people thought it would be if you did what I had to do. We had to take this journey to the Middle East in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon. There would have been, if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, or if I didn't kill the Barack Hussein-Obama deal, the nuclear deal, which was a disaster, we would have had nuclear weapons exploding in the Middle East and beyond. I believe I've been able to stop that. I think we have a very successful negotiation going on right now, and I think it'll be, if it happens, it'll be announced fairly soon, and that'll give us free oil, free Hormuz Strait, everything will be nice, and I think your oil price will go down to lower than what it was before. and I think a lot of good things will happen.
Just for clarity, you're willing to extend the ceasefire through?
Well, we'll see. I don't know that we'll have to. Ideally, we'll, but if I needed to, I would.
The Lebanese people love you so much. What do you say? The Lebanese people love you so much. What's your message for them? And you will visit Lebanon after this deal?
I will do that. At the right time, I would certainly go there.
You think this war in Ukraine, Putin doesn't want to stop it apparently. He keeps bombing Ukraine. You think this war has the potential to go on for years more?
Well, it should have never started. If I were president, the war in Ukraine never would have started with Russia. But it's going on. Hopefully it'll get over soon.
The First Lady came out last week and said she had no link to Jeffrey Epstein.
Who did?
The First Lady, Melania.
She had none.
Why did she come out and say that last week?
Because the fake news was saying she did, and she had none, and I think that's been proven. It bothered her that the fake news was being fake news. That's all. She just wanted to clarify.
Are you surprised?
Who's taking care of Hezbollah? Do you think that they are destroying the deal that you are trying to make?
We're going to see how it all works out, but they'll be working and coordinating. If you know Lebanon, right? So they'll be working with Hezbollah.
If they fire Jay Powell,
interested in acquiring Iranian oil?
What?
Are you still interested in acquiring Iranian oil?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we have a very good relationship with Iran right now, as hard as it is to believe. And I think it's a combination of about 4 weeks of bombing and a very powerful blockade. The blockade is maybe more powerful than the bombing, if you want to know the truth.
Are you going to make the Arab countries pay a portion of all of the costs?
I think they'll make that. I think they're going to make that contribution. I think the Arab countries, because we've done a lot, I think they'd make a contribution toward the cost. Not been involved.
Iranian assets without any conditions if you make a deal?
We're going to see what happens, but I think we're very close to making a deal with Iran. You'll be the first to know, but I think we have a chance. And if that happens, oil goes way down, prices go way down, inflation goes way down, and you're going to have, much more importantly than even that, you won't have nuclear holocaust.
happening now? What talks happened, Mr. President?
I love it when he takes a walk and makes them all chase him. So he's down at the other side of the line here, and they're all trying to get repositioned, but they will.
Before your visit?
Well, I have a great relationship, as you know, with President Xi, and I look forward to being there. We have a very special relationship, so I look forward to being in China.
Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, you impose sanctions on Rwanda because they keep violating the Washington Accord.
I do.
But President Kagame just said he don't care.
I just wanted to stop for a second. Is it just me, or are there a lot more international reporters now in the group? You hear by the accent, these people aren't from here. And it's just interesting that now we've got a lot more international reporters.
About sanctions, and he said he will not withdraw from Congo. His troops will continue in Congo. What is your reaction to
We're
that?
going to look into it very strongly, but they do have very big sanctions.
Mr. President, there was a G20 meeting in Washington today. Why did you invite Poland instead of South Africa?
Well, Poland's a great country. We like it a lot. We're friends with Poland. The president is doing a great job, so we invite him.
I saw your Truth Social posts about Bruce Blakeman in New York. He's being denied up to $7 million of public campaign funds in New York by partisan Democrats. Have you seen that, and what's your reaction to it?
I can just tell you this. Bruce Blakeman is running for governor. He will be a great governor if he wins. I don't know that he wins or not because it's New York, and you know, people cheat on elections and a lot of other things. But Bruce Blakeman is a great, great gentleman. As you know, he comes from Nassau County, which is a Democrat area, and he wins by a landslide all the time. And if Bruce Blakeman gets in, your taxes are going to go way down, and a lot of good things are going to happen, including cleanliness and all of the things that you want to see. I know him very well. He's been a great leader, a great executive in Nassau County. Even though it's largely Democrat, he wins in a landslide. Everybody loves him. He's a very talented guy, very great politician, and I think he probably has a chance. If Bruce Blakeman gets in, your taxes are going way down, and you know what else is going down? Crime.
There are these 10 missing scientists with access to classified stuff, nuclear material, aerospace. They've all gone missing or turned up dead in the last couple months. Based on what you've been briefed, what do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well,
all right, so in case you don't know, this is a story that's starting to bubble up. All these scientists have either gone missing or have turned up dead. And that was obviously Ducey, who asked Caroline Leavitt yesterday. Now he's getting a chance to ask President Trump directly. What's going on with these scientists? Is it just coincidence? Well, no, there are no coincidences. What's going on? Somebody's got to answer that.
I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff. But we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, if you whatever you want to call it. But some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next short time.
Is it possible that some foreign adversary is in the United States scooping these people up?
Well, you know, Biden had open borders. It wasn't very hard to get here, but we've gotten many of them out. You know, we've caught many people, many very bad people, including thousands of murderers that we've taken out of our country, thousands of drug lords that we've taken out of our country, hundreds of thousands of prisoners that were let into the U.S. that we've taken out of our country. As far as the scientists are concerned, we'll probably have a pretty good answer over the next week.
And with the peace talks in Iran, does it have to be a big deal all at once, or would you accept a little deal to start?
Well, I have a little deal. I can make a little deal. I want to get it done and get back to keep going with low. You know, our pricing is doing great. As soon as the war is over, we're going to be lower than we were 2 or 3 years ago. So I want to get back to that. We had to do something. We had to make sure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. And we're at that. They've agreed to that. They've totally agreed to that. They've agreed to almost everything. So maybe if they can get to the table, there's a difference. They agree. They got to get to the table with a pen. We'll have that over with. And then we can focus on our great economy. And also, you know, I inherited the highest prices in the history of our country, the worst inflation in the history of our country. I'll get it down to a very low number. We had it to a very low number, and it's still low. But the most important thing right now is to make sure Iran can never have a nuclear weapon.
Would you ever go to Pakistan to seal the deal yourself?
I would go to Pakistan, yeah. Pakistan has been great. They've been so good. Islamabad, I might go. Yeah, I might go. If the deal is signed in Islamabad, I might go. The field marshal has been great. The prime minister has been really great in Pakistan. So I might go. They want me.
The First Lady last week called on Congress to further look into and uncover the truth on the Epstein files, the Epstein saga. Do you believe that there should be a public hearing for more of these Epstein survivors?
Well, I'm okay with it. I think we've had a lot of public hearings. I'm okay with it, but I understand that the women didn't want to go under oath. That's what I heard, that the women, the victims or whatever, they refused to go under oath, which was a little surprising. Now, Melania felt strongly about it because she was accused of that I met her through Epstein, but it turned out to be totally false. It was a false story.
Don't these ceasefire also include Iraq and region?
Are we talking about the one with Lebanon?
Lebanon, Iraq, and...
Okay. So we just made a deal with Lebanon. As of 2 hours from now, we have a ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon, and that'll be great. And they'll be meeting, probably coming to the White House over the next 4 or 5 days. And that'll be the first time they've met in 44 years, which is pretty unneighborly when considering they're neighbors. But there's a really good chance that that'll work out with Lebanon and Israel. I met with through the telephone with the president of Lebanon, who's a really good guy, highly respected, and with Bibi. And I think there's a chance we'll be meeting right here in the not too distant future.
Have the survivors received justice? Do you think the survivors received justice?
Israel and Lebanon have tried to make peace before. What's going to be the difference this time?
Me. I'm the big difference. Me.
Australia has about taxes. States like Virginia, North Carolina, and New York, Democratic states are looking at raising taxes. Is that going to take away from the tax cuts that
What's
you have?
happened? No, because, no tax on tips. I'm going over no tax on tips today. That's why I'm going to Nevada, I'm going to Arizona. But this is sort of a no tax on tips. What's happening is people are finding out that in their tax return, they're getting a big refund, much bigger than they thought. So it's no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. I think wait. I think it's going to be amazing. But if you look at what they're doing in New York and California, they're raising taxes and they're driving people out. It's a shame.
I really would like to know those people who want to raise their hand and pay more taxes. Right now, the Mandami, the New York stuff is supposedly just the rich. But one of the things they keep saying is, it's for the working class. I put up a tweet earlier today. I'm like, define working class, because everybody from a football player to a scientist are all working. So when they say working class, they don't mean working class. They mean the people who ain't making any money. The slouches. They don't really mean working class. But I don't know anybody who votes to pay more taxes. What kind of commie youth do you have to be to want to pay more taxes?
Announced that it's increasing its defense spending to 3%. You've been asking for 3.5%. Are you satisfied?
Well, we're going to see what happens. But on defense spending, look, we built the greatest military anywhere in the world. There's nobody even close. All you have to do is take a look at the blockade. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That blockade is the best thing. And I'll tell you something. I think the blockade has been more powerful than the bombs. The bombs were powerful, and it weakened them. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anything. They have no leaders. But their new leaders, the ones that have replaced them, it's a regime change. They are much more, I think, frankly, more intelligent and more moderate. But we have a real chance to make a deal very soon with Iran.
On Australia, Mr. President, you asked for 3.5% increase, like 5% you did with NATO. Australia has only gone to 3%. Are you satisfied with that decision? Would you?
Well, I'm not happy with Australia because
Why,
they were not there when we asked them to be there. So Australia,
what did you ask for?
Australia was another one. They were not there, having to do with Hormuz, the Hormuz.
What do you mean by that?
I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
But why specifically? Do you still have a good relationship with the Australian Prime Minister?
What message do you think the ceasefire in Lebanon sent to the UK and other European allies who chose not to get involved in the war?
Well, we spend trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO. And when I asked them to get involved on a much smaller situation, which is Hormuz and Iran, they weren't there for us. Remember what I said. They weren't there. None of them. They weren't there. So we were there on Ukraine. I mean, we shouldn't have been. It would have never happened if I were president. But nevertheless, when they've had problems over the years, we were there. When we asked them to get involved on a very minor skirmish by comparison to what it could be, they weren't there. So I don't think they'd be there for a large skirmish, and therefore I think they've got themselves a problem.
Do your policies like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime show that the Democrat Party is no longer the party of the working class and the Republican Party under your leadership actually?
I love this question.
He loves this question because he probably thinks the same as I. Define working class. They keep using these terms, working class, fair share. They never defined any of them. Every single one of you, unless you're retired, you are in a working class. So when they say we got to raise all these taxes for the working class, that's not who they're raising taxes for. I don't need a free bus pass. I don't need free childcare. There is no such thing as free.
This is the greatest guy. Look how handsome he is. What a great guy he is. Yes, The Democrats don't know what they're doing. They want to tax everybody out of business. They want men playing in women's sports. They don't want voter ID. They don't know what they're doing. We've had an unbelievable run, and the people getting their tax returns, and they're coming back, and they're ending up getting $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 more than they thought possible.
Do you think the Pope was disrespectful? Back on the chair. The Pope. Do you think he was being disrespectful to you?
I don't think about it that way. The Pope has to understand that Iran could not have a nuclear weapon. And the Pope has to understand that you can't let a country kill 42,000 protesters, totally unarmed protesters. You can't do that. So the Pope, you know, I know his brother. His brother's MAGA all the way. You know that. Louis is a great guy. But the Pope has to understand you're not allowed to kill 42,000 protesters who are totally unarmed. And you cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon, or the entire world could be gone. And, you know, when the Pope realizes that, I think we'll have a different understanding.
Do you think he was implying does energy dominance mean that Europeans should be buying more gas and oil from the United States?
Well, they should be buying more from us, and what they should be doing is using the North Sea. I can tell you, UK, I've been telling that to your Prime Minister, UK should open up the North Sea, it's one of the greatest in the world, and they should use it instead of buying oil from Norway and other places that use the same source. They should use it, and they're not doing it. They're doing windmills, and windmills do one thing. You know what they do? Put you out of business.
Mr. Erdogan or the regional leaders about the peace deal or the peace talks with Iran?
We're dealing with everybody. We're dealing with all of the leaders on many different subjects. We're very close to a deal with Iran. Thank
Imagine that. Imagine that President Trump, as you just saw, did a 25-minute impromptu press conference. I mean, 25 minutes of talking to the press, gets on Air Force One, tweeting everything. I mean, putting up posts on True Social. Then he's going to come out here and have a roundtable. So this isn't a speech. He's going to be talking, as you can see around the table, a round table. He's going to be speaking to business leaders in the area, Las Vegas, and talking about how no tax on tips has helped them. So that's what we're waiting for. It is 7:38. He obviously is behind schedule, as often is. But the contrast, what you're seeing, excuse me, what you're seeing the Democrats do, which I don't even get it. I don't know how the day after people are getting huge tax refunds, the very next day they're screaming about taking more money. Hey, it's crazy. So we're waiting for President Trump. Let me check with SB, see if he got anything. Anything more? You got anything? How's things going?
They want to take all our money, everything, every dime. I mean, they're taking everything. The shirt off my back, man.
Yeah. So what was that thing? They were saying that like some people they work until June 1st just for taxes. I mean, it's literally a slave. I played something today which was really funny. When I go to the break, I'll find it because he's not up yet. But it was really funny. It was by Peter Schiff, and I don't want to give it away, but I want you guys to see and the face of these idiots that he's talking to as they just realized they've been had in about 30 seconds. All right, so let me take a quick break.
I do have a Trump True Social came in about 15 minutes ago.
Another one.
Yeah, it's a short one though. He just basically writes, I hope Hezbollah acts nicely and well during this important period of time. It will be a great moment for them if they do. No more killing. Must finally have peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
So if he's still posting, and that was what 17 minutes ago, who knows where he is?
He just wheels down. I just sent you the link. He actually is wheels down about 8 minutes ago. So he's probably in the beast on the way to the venue.
All right. So we will check back in them as showing you here. Loud music. That sounded like something from an Ozzy concert. But they're all sitting around waiting. People are waiting for him to get there. And as soon as he gets there, we will definitely cut to it. We'll be back in 90 seconds.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
So you think that I should pay 70% of my income above $2 million in tax?
$2 million a year?
Yes. Do you
I think your next dollar should be taxed at 70%.
Okay, so if that's the deal, you know what I would do? Once my income got to $2 million, I would stop working for the year. I would furlough my employees and say, you know what? I've made my limit. I'm not going to work for 30 cents on the dollar. I'm playing golf. I'm going fishing. I'll see you next February. How about that?
How about that? See, they don't understand that. If you're telling people you want to tax them 70, 80% of their income, well, how about they just say, you know what, I've made enough for this year. I'm going to stop. I'm going to fire everybody. Oh, that's going to hurt you. And then I'll play golf and wait until next year and I'll start again. They don't think. They don't understand anything about business. They don't understand that business will find a way to survive. I feel like, I'm saying something like Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. Nature will find a way. Business will find a way. You're not going to pigeonhole people who have money, who are earning money, who are producing in society, and think they're just going to bend over and take it. Like I said yesterday, it's almost as if you're ready to put a wall around New York and turn it into Germany back in 1939. Make it Cuba. You can't leave the country. You can't leave the state. We're going to take everything you own. That's where we're headed. I feel bad for the people in these blue states. All right, so let me go ahead. I've got another. This one's a press conference, a full press conference. If you haven't seen it, this one is luxurious. This is Pete Hegseth with the 8 o'clock press conference from this morning. President Trump, as of yet, still has not come out on stage. As soon as he does, no matter where I am in this press conference, I will cut to it.
Well, good morning. And as you may have noticed, the chairman and I are joined today by the CENTCOM commander, Admiral Bradley Cooper. He just returned from the front lines to see the troops and meet with allies, and this morning briefed us, just before this briefing, on the latest on all aspects of Operation Epic Fury. So after the chairman concludes, we'll ask Admiral Cooper to share a quick update on the ground truth from his trip to the region as he continues to implement an ironclad blockade and ensures that our forces are maximally postured to restart combat operations should this new Iranian regime choose poorly and not agree to a deal. And that is what we urge this morning, that this new Iranian regime choose wisely, which is where we'll start with a message to Iran's military leadership, to the KH leadership and IRGC leadership. We're watching you. Our capabilities are not the same, our military and yours. Remember, this is not a fair fight. And we know what military assets you are moving and where you are moving them to. While you are digging out, which is exactly what you're doing, digging out of bombed out and devastated facilities, we are only getting stronger. You are digging out your remaining launchers and missiles with no ability to replace them. You have no defense industry, no ability to replenish your offensive or defensive capabilities. You only have what you have. You know that, and we know that. You can move things around, but you can't actually rebuild. You can dig out for now, but you can't reconstitute. But we can. We are reloading with more power than ever before, and better intelligence, even more importantly, better intelligence than ever before, as you expose yourself with your movement to our watchful eye. We are locked and loaded on your critical dual-use infrastructure, on your remaining power generation, and on your energy industry. We'd rather not have to do it, but we're ready to go at the command of our president and at the push of a button. This blockade, which the chairman will detail this morning, is the polite way that this can go. Your energy is not moving and will not move, and we can do this all day. But it's not destroyed yet. Your energy industry is not destroyed yet. You like to say publicly, Iran, that you control the Strait of Hormuz, but you don't have a navy or real domain awareness. You can't control anything. To be clear, threatening to shoot missiles and drones at ships, commercial ships that are lawfully transiting international waters, that is not control. That's piracy. That's terrorism. The United States Navy controls the traffic going in and out of the strait because we have real assets and real capabilities. And we're doing this blockade, performing it with less than 10% of America's naval power. The math is clear. We're using 10% of the world's most powerful navy, and you have 0% of your navy. That's real control, and we have a long track record of dealing with pirates and terrorists. But there is an alternative. As our negotiators have said, you, Iran, can choose a prosperous future, a golden bridge, and we hope that you do for the people of Iran.
I got to jump in for a second. What he just did is he basically quoted Sun Tzu. If you're into Sun Tzu, if you're into reading some of that kind of stuff, check out Sun Tzu and what he said about golden bridges. Basically, it's to allow the enemy to save face. And he just quoted it. Thought that was pretty wild.
In the meantime, and for as long as it takes, we will maintain this blockade, successful blockade. But if Iran chooses poorly, then they will have a blockade and bombs dropping on infrastructure, power, and energy. And at the same time, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and our friends over at Treasury are launching Operation Economic Fury as well, maximizing economic pressure across the entirety of the government. To Iran, choose wisely. The world watched, and so did you, as the U.S. military moved seamlessly from major combat operations to a world-class blockade. We can make that transition again, very quickly, and even more powerfully than ever. At the direction of President Trump, the War Department will ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon. Never. We'd prefer to do it the nice way, through a deal led by our great vice president and negotiating team, or we can do it the hard way. We urge this new regime to choose wisely. Speaking of choosing wisely, a note to the press corps, to the American media. As I just can't help but notice the endless stream of garbage, the relentlessly negative coverage, you cannot resist peddling, despite the historic and important success of this effort and the success of our troops. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what side some of you are actually on. It's incredibly unpatriotic. This same press corps, not this exact same press corps, but at least an older press corps, bent over backwards during the Biden administration to explain away, you explained away the disastrous and disgraceful Afghanistan withdrawal. You called it the greatest airlift in American history. It's almost like you're cheering only for one side. This past Sunday, I was sitting in church with my family, and our minister preached from the book of Mark, the 3rd chapter. And in the passage, Jesus entered a synagogue and healed a man with a withered hand. The Pharisees came to watch. And as the scripture reads, they came to see whether Jesus, would heal him, or he would heal him on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. You see, the Pharisees, the so-called and self-appointed elites of their time, they were there to witness, to write everything down, to report. But their hearts were hardened. Even though they witnessed a literal miracle, it didn't matter. They were only there to explain away the goodness in pursuit of their agenda. As the passage ends, the Pharisees went out and immediately held counsel against him, how to destroy him. I sat there in church and I thought, our press are just like these Pharisees. Not all of you, but the legacy Trump-hating press. Your politically motivated animus for President Trump nearly completely blinds you from the brilliance of our American warriors. The Pharisees scrutinized every good act in order to find a violation, only looking for the negative. The hardened hearts of our press are calibrated only to impugn. I would ask you to open your eyes to the goodness, the historic success of our troops, the courage of this president, and this historic moment for a deal that could end the Iranian nuclear threat, the incredible battlefield victory laid before your eyes, the not one, but 2 incredible rescue missions, miracles, you might say, or a locked-in blockade. Or how about historic recruiting numbers? Yesterday, we announced that the Air Force and the Space Force met new higher goals in FY26, 5 months in advance of the end of the fiscal year, five months ahead of time. The Marine Corps and the Army will soon do the same. 2-3 years ago, we couldn't meet lower recruiting numbers, not even close. Where are the reports on that? Where's the coverage of the new spirit in the country, the new spirit in the ranks, the surge of Americans wanting to join the greatest military in the world? Nothing from the fake news. We sense a pattern. You see, on the battlefield, these are demonstrations of uniquely American capabilities, strength and resolve. It's all around you each and every day. But in the press, you only seek the negative, earning each and every day the fake news label. But the American people, with goodness in their hearts, see past the Pharisees in our press. They see the goodness. You watching, you see the goodness. They see the success. They see the reality. And they don't demand perfection, and perfection is not possible on any battlefield. But they see the incredible feats that our troops accomplish every single day. So to those troops, stay focused, block out the noise, stay aggressive. You are showing the world what it means to be an American warrior. You are making this building and the American people proud. We pray for you every day, and we have your back in every way. And to Iran, choose wisely. I pray you choose a deal which is within your grasp for the betterment of your people and for the betterment of the world. In the meantime, the War Department is locked and loaded. Mr. Chairman, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today. Last week, the President of the United States directed a ceasefire that temporarily paused major combat operations in Iran. The unprecedented effort by America's joint force during Operation Epic Fury set the conditions for this ceasefire. And as the Secretary said, I'd like to emphasize during this pause that the United States Joint Force remains postured and ready to resume major combat operations at literally a moment's notice.
That's very important. Remember what has to happen in order for President Trump to extend everything. There has to be some sort of ceasefire, some sort of cessation, a pause that has to happen. Now they're actually emphasizing it and saying, okay, we've been closed for the last couple of days, which is all he needs to start it up again for another 60-day period. And I think the bad guys know that too as well.
This morning, I'd like to give you an update on the ongoing blockade in the CENTCOM AOR, Area of Responsibility. On Monday, 13 April, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, at the direction of the President, America's Joint Force began implementing a blockade against Iran under the leadership of Admiral Cooper and the team at CENTCOM. Let me be clear, this blockade applies to all ships, regardless of nationality, heading into or from Iranian ports. The U.S. action is a blockade of Iran's ports and coastline, not a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Enforcement will occur inside Iran's territorial seas and in international waters. In addition to this blockade, the Joint Force, through operations and activities in other areas of responsibility, like the Pacific area of responsibility under the command of Admiral Paparo, will actively pursue any Iranian-flagged vessel or any vessel attempting to provide material support to Iran. This includes dark fleet vessels carrying Iranian oil. As most of you know, dark fleet vessels are those illicit or illegal ships evading international regulations, sanctions, or insurance requirements. More than 10,000 sailors, Marines, and airmen, over a dozen ships and dozens of aircraft are executing this mission. And let me walk you through this operation a little bit. Please go to the first slide. First to the graphic. This is taken before the blockade began. North is up. You can see the blockade line here in the center of the graphic, denoted by the red dashed line. This map is a pull from our common operating picture that we use to allow commanders and key leaders to see what is happening in near real time. We just grabbed screen grabs to highlight the actions and activities. What is not shown is how incredibly congested this area is and the incredible work that our sailors are doing to ensure that they can work in and around an incredibly busy water space. What is also not depicted here is the massive force of fighters, intelligence aircraft, helicopters, and other embarked forces, to include aerial refueling tankers, that are up overhead this blockade area. You'll note that U.S. forces are in blue. Iranian ships are in red. And as we started this blockade, there were 7 ships of interest that were of concern for U.S. Central Command. Through a variety of intelligence tools and with the assistance of the Office of Naval Intelligence and other intelligence agencies, the force began to hunt for potential interdictors at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next slide, please. It's now 12:40 Eastern Daylight Time, 2 hours and 40 minutes into the blockade, as attempted blockade runners attempt to hop the line. U.S. forces began to commit. Out in front of them was a range of intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and tactical assets. And immediately these runners began to see, sense, and feel America's combat power compressing upon them. The lead ship, normally a destroyer as depicted here, along with air power off of the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group, began to move towards those ships. At each point, the United States Navy will transmit a warning. A young sailor, normally on the bridge of one of those destroyers, a junior officer, picks up that mic and transmits, and I quote, "Do not attempt to breach the blockade. Vessels will be boarded for interdiction."
Okay, that sounds like absolute crap. So let me go ahead and change the feed because, oh my gosh, what the heck was that? They had gremlins in it or something. 1 second, I will change that feed. And whew, that sounded really bad, didn't it? I don't know what the hell that was, but we're gonna fix it and go here real quick. Turn it on. Are they trying to fix it elsewhere? Sounds like the SB says, are they having, is it having a problem everywhere? I think so. Hold on. Let me see what this one sounds like.
Oh, thank you, Lee. He's easy. Isn't he great? That's such a great opening. Well, we love you too. We got a lot of people here. We got a lot of great people here. Thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to win this state by so much. It was, I wouldn't, it was the toughest, but it was competition nevertheless, and we appreciate it very much, and we're going to be talking about no tax on tips. We're also talking about the fact that everybody is looking at their tax return. They're getting tremendous amounts of money back, much more than they thought, so. But it's great. Place I love, Las Vegas. Did a lot of business here. We had great success here. Before politics, it was fantastic. And this is the birthplace of a little idea known as no tax on tips. This is the birthplace. A young waitress came up to me during dinner and she said, "Sir, we should have no tax on tips." I said, "What?" Say it again. "We should have no tax on tips." I said, "That's the greatest thing I've ever heard." I walked outside to the fake news media. I say, "Ladies and gentlemen, there will be no tax on tips." That was it. It was not an expensive consultant. Las Vegas is the home of the largest concentration of tipped workers anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, actually. And thanks to our tax cuts this week, thousands of Nevada waiters, waitresses, casino dealers, bartenders, bellmen, barbers, caddies. So I love those caddies. They're very good if you have the right caddy. And valets receive the biggest tax refunds of their entire lives, and you see it. And I just want to say you're welcome. You're welcome. No, it's all over. There's so many, even in the fake news, where they have these different. You always want to watch the enemy a little bit. You don't want to watch too much. You want to find out where they're coming from, and they come from dark places. But even there, people are saying, "Wow, this is really amazing." It's a great, big, beautiful bill that came in, and we should call it the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill, because that's really what it is. Other things also, but regulations. But it's really, the tax cuts are enormous. So it's just such an honor. I want to thank Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent for joining us. Scott. He's become a big star. He walks down the street and the people are screaming, "Scott, Scott, can we have your autograph?" I mean, what I did, I created a monster. He's a monster now. That's terrible, but he's doing a great job. Along with Senator, oh, look at Tommy. Where's Tommy Tuberville? Where's Tommy Tuberville? Tommy, the great Tommy Tuberville, Senator from Alabama. Thank you, Tommy. Nevada Lieutenant Governor Stavros Anthony. Thank you, Stavros. Clark County Commissioner April Becker. April. Thank you, April. Thank you very much. State Senator Carrie Buck. Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Assemblywoman Lisa Cole. Lisa, thank you. We have a lot of power here today, huh? This is big stuff. And many others. We have a lot of people out there. I better not name them all because, we're in all these. Look at all the television back there. Isn't that terrible? So much. Last summer, thanks to our Republican majorities in the House and Senate, I signed the great big beautiful bill, the largest tax cuts and many other things for working families in the history of our country. It was actually, we added about 19 different bills. We were going to do one at a time or maybe two or three, but I said, let's just do them all at one time. And thank goodness we did, because the Republicans are out there fighting hard for a lot of good things, like no men and women sports, like no open borders. We have the safest border we've ever had. We have the safest communities. We have the best records. One thing that's always tough to say because it sounds sort of weird, but we have the least number of murders that we've had in 125 years, all the way back to 1900. Doesn't sound nice. There's no nice way of saying that, but it's back to 1900. But every single American at every income level has more money in their pockets this week because of the Republican tax policies. And we got to win the midterms. If we don't, these policies are going to be taken away from you. The taxes are going to go through the roof. Look at these. Look at the states, these blue states, what is going on there with taxes. Look at what happened in Virginia. A person, we had a good governor there, and somebody got elected that she's gone crazy. She's gone totally crazy. Look at New York. I mean, he's a nice guy. Calls me all the time, says hi. But his policies are no good. He's chasing people out and causing a lot of harm to everybody. I mean, everybody's taxes are going through the roof. After 4 long years of brutal inflation under Biden and congressional Democrats, you deserve every single penny that you're getting now because you had to suffer. You suffered. We had the highest inflation in the history of our country under Biden. Sleepy Joe. He's the worst president we've ever had by far. Average refund. The average refunds this season's over $4,000. And here in Las Vegas, many workers have reported refunds of $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 or more, and they've never had anything. It's all from no tax on tips alone. So, and then don't forget, you have no tax on Social Security for our seniors. A lot of seniors out there. And you have no tax on overtime. This state covers them all. You have the seniors, you have the overtime, but you have no tax on overtime. You have no tax on tips, and you have no tax, think of it, Social Security. So those three things. And one other thing that we have that nobody talks about, but we've done a lot in the bill. If you have a small business or if you have a farm, you have no inheritance tax. You have no death tax. It's a big thing. People go out and they would borrow money, especially the farmers. I mean, they go out and they leave their farm, and the farm is valuable, but not a lot of cash. They live good. They wouldn't trade anytime. And they go out and they get a bill for taxes for the farm. The parents leave the farm to the children. The children go to the bank. They borrow a lot of money. They mortgage up the farm, and they end up losing the farm. They go bankrupt. They commit suicide in many. It's a horrible thing that went on. You have no death taxes now. You have no inheritance taxes. And seeing his take-home pay skyrocket, a bellman at the nearby Paris hotel reportedly said words that no one has ever uttered before. God bless the IRS. Can you believe it? I've never heard that before. We have to patent that. We have to do something. Earlier this week at the White House, I met a wonderful woman named Sharon Simmons, a grandmother driving DoorDash to help support her husband's cancer treatment. She's got serious cancer. She's going to be okay, I think. Sharon delivered McDonald's to the Oval Office. It was a little bit of a, to be honest, it was a little tacky. They come up with these crazy ideas like McDonald's, although that was the biggest ever on Google. They say #1 ever. And the garbage truck. I mean, we do these things in politics. They're a little embarrassing. They're a little tiny embarrassing, but we do them, and you win by landslides. It's one of the. So we got to keep doing them. No, we got to knock on the Oval Office door. This does not happen. That's the first maybe in the history of the Oval Office, and It was a very beautiful woman standing there with 2 big bags of McDonald's hamburgers. And I say, is this really believable? I said, but the point of it was she made $11,000 that she had no idea was coming. And it was really great. It turned out to be really great. So as part of our tax cuts, we also included no tax on overtime. And, you know, one of the things, though, that I think is so great, we have something that's never happened before. It was an idea that I thought up. I went to Scott. I went to some of our people. So when rich people do something, they always look for deductions, right? It's always deductions. They have deductions and everything. And middle class and middle income people, poorer people, they don't get they don't think in terms of deductions. So I said, you buy a car that's American made, give a deduction on the interest you pay on the loan that you used to buy the car. And everyone said, oh, that's good. It sounds simple, but it's never been done before. And you have that too. So when you go out and you take a loan on your car, you deduct the interest. It's a big deal for people. Never happened before. You would think it was sort of basic. I thought it was so brilliant when I thought it. But the truth is, it never happened before. And nobody mentions it, but it's a very big factor. And it's having a huge impact on our car companies, which are expanding like never before. We're selling more cars now. A lot of it has to do with tariffs. You pay no tariffs if you come here. If you don't come here, you pay a lot of tariffs. And we're raising those tariffs very soon. Not on you. It's on people from the outside that don't build their plants here. We have now hundreds of billions. We have actually $18 trillion being invested in the United States because of a lot of reasons, but because of tariffs. Because of tariffs. If they sell their product into our country, they have to pay tariffs. If they make that same product here, they don't. So they're coming in. I'll tell you, pharmaceutical companies are coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen. We're having our drugs made here, our prescription drugs are being made here, which is something that's very important. So our tax cut for overtime workers have already been claimed by more than 26 million Americans, and America's finally had the president, the kind of president who believes in them. I believe in rewarding you for the great work you've done, the great job you've done, and for having to suffer for 4 years of embarrassment. Our country was an embarrassment. Our country, a year ago, our country was an embarrassment, and all over the world they laughed at us, and they don't laugh anymore. They are not laughing. They're not laughing anymore. I don't think anybody. Just ask those. I don't want to be a wise guy. I don't want to speak too soon, but we do very well. You notice that we're doing very well, and I will say the war in Iran is going along swimmingly. We can do whatever we want, and it should be ending pretty soon. It was perfect. I mean, it's perfect. It was the power we have, our military. We have the most powerful military anywhere in the world. I built it 4 years, my first 4 years. And we're still building it. We're building it. We have the best military. We have the best equipment in the world, the best rockets and anti-rockets. You know, if you look at the way we shoot, you know, we had 111 rockets shot at one of our ships. I won't name the ship, but it was a beauty. And out of the 111 rockets shot, all 111 rockets, and these things move at about 3,000 miles an hour. You know, it's not like, oh, gee, we have plenty of time to think about it. Every single one of them, 111, were all shot down. Think of that. Shot down. They're laying at the bottom of the sea. So needless to say, it was a ship that they were shooting at. But we've had it. We had 101. We had 101, and then 2 days later, we had 111. Every one of them was hit. That's the equipment that we have is incredible. There's never been anything like it. So in addition to no tax on Social Security, over 51 million seniors now pay. Seniors are loving me, and I love them. Of course, I'm not a senior, so I cater to the seniors, but I don't happen to be a senior myself. Thank you very much. Over 51 million seniors now pay zero federal tax on Social Security income. 51 million. And they never saw that happening. And when I went to him and I said, how much would it cost for about 50 to 60 million seniors not to pay tax? He said, "Sir, are you kidding?" This was Scott. I said, "Let's do it. Go ahead." And you know what's happened? The economy is doing so well. By the way, we had to do a little journey down to Iran, and I didn't want to do that, but we had to because we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Can't let them have a nuclear weapon. And, you know, we just hit 50,000 on the Dow. I don't know if you people know what that means. 50,000 on the Dow is unthinkable. They said at the end of his fourth year, maybe, but more likely fifth or sixth year. My fifth or sixth year, that sounds good too. But remember, you know, the hat says 4 more years? It drives the Democrats crazy. It drives them 4 more years, 4 more years. I have to laugh at that one. They go crazy. What a bunch of lunatics they are. You know, we want to get along and we want bipartisan, but after a while you say, these people, they're just, you know, they don't want to pay our ICE agents. They don't want to pay our security people. They don't want to take care of our border. They want to have open borders for everybody. They want to have men playing in women's sports. Think of it, men playing in women's sports. That's got to be a 95-5. Maybe it's a 99-1 issue. And they still, I saw a guy today on television, a Democrat that I know. He's trying to justify men playing in women's sports. He's trying to justify open borders. No, we can't let them back in. They'll destroy the country. They'll destroy our country. But millions of retirees like those here in Nevada, and you know, it's a very important word, Nevada. Don't ever say the other way. I'm not going to say it because they'll say I said. I won't say it the other way because they'll put it, he said, you lose the whole state. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds pretty good the other way, to be honest with you. Some people, but Nevada is beautiful. And seeing an average deduction over $7,500 this year, which is incredible. The great big beautiful bill is filled with tax cuts Americans are only just beginning to discover. So the tax cuts turned out to be larger than anybody thought, even us. I mean, we didn't think it was going to be as much, but people are getting much more. It's come from that. And the Democrats don't know what to do because they used to ridicule it, you know, the great big beautiful bill. And now they're saying, don't mention the words. Just don't talk about it because it's been great. But we got to keep it. We have to win the midterms. We virtually eliminated the so-called, so many taxes. We have like 19 different taxes in all different forms that we eliminated. And we dramatically expanded a thing called school choice, which is a big deal, We made homeschool expenditures, the homeschoolers. Do we have any homeschoolers here? Right? Very good. Congratulations. Homeschool expenditures tax deductible. We created the brand new Trump accounts with Michael and Susan Dell. The Dell family. They're great. What a great family. But he put up $6.25 billion. Namely, he did a good job in life. He's putting up more. He came to me with the idea with some of his friends. His wife is fantastic, by the way. And he said, you know, these accounts where children will grow up, and by the time they're 18 or 20 or 21, they could have $100,000. I mean, they may be poor, they'll have $100,000. What a big difference. So I just want to thank the Dell family. It's great. You know, buy their computer. I said, how did you get so rich by doing computers? He said, well, you know, in college, I was good at computers. I'd just sit on my bed, I'd make computers, and people would buy them, and he never stopped. Sort of an amazing story, if you want to know the truth. But we have a $1,000 contribution for every newborn child. Think of that. 5 million have already been opened. It's been incredible. People are going out there doing it. Some are buying it from many other children. Some are taking some richer people are taking lots of people under their wing. We have one man that took the state of Ohio, and he's obviously pretty rich, and he's made the contribution on behalf of so many children. It's really turned out to be amazing, actually. And we made interest on new car loans deductible, which I told you it's a big deal. I think it's really something, but only if it's made here, and that's only if it's made in America, and we're proud to see it being made in America. You know, we used to have, when I was growing up, it would say, everything made in America. It meant it was better. And then over the years, it disappeared. We brought it back, and we make great products now. Today, when you see made in America, today, when you see made in America, you know, it's generally speaking, I think it's a better product. This tax season, over 1 million Americans already deducted their auto loans and their auto interest. Think of that. And they're saving a write-off. They're having a write-off of over $2,000, sometimes much more. And you get a full write-off. It's pretty amazing. Together, these brand new cuts and deductions in the Republican bill have been claimed by nearly half of all tax filers. So in one form or another, more than 50% have taken advantage of the things that we put into the bill. By the way, we have a lot of other things other than that. We have incentives. We have the expensing for businesses, and the expensing is such a big deal. You have a business, you're allowed to deduct it immediately as opposed to over 38 years and other things. And to me, that's one. We had the best economy in the history of our country in my first term, and we're blowing it out now. We're blowing it away now. And despite our little diversion to the lovely country of Iran, lovely place, but we had to do that because otherwise bad things could happen, really bad things. So we've sent out, and I think you're going to see some incredible results, you know, for those people that question it. You're going to see some, the job we've done has been amazing. The ships are out there today, and they're saying, don't come here, don't even think about it. And you have these massive tankers saying, let's get the hell out of here. It's amazing. It's amazing. But we've sent out $30 billion more in refunds than at the same time last year, and employers who adjust their withholding levels now will see an immediate surge in their take-home pay for the remainder of 2026. You're going to see a big surge. The numbers are really tremendous, and that's why I'm out here. If they were bad, I wouldn't be here today. I'd be sitting home watching television, I think. We can never forget that every single radical left Democrat in Congress voted to deny the American people these life-saving changes. They voted for tax increases. They wanted your taxes to go up. I've never seen it before. You know, all my life, I've been sort of always interested in politics. Never did it before. I decided to do it a little while ago, not too long. But I've never seen it before. It always was, I'd watch politicians for 30 years, 40 years. We will lower your taxes. We will lower your taxes. These are the only people, the Democrats now, the modern day Democrats. We will raise your taxes. And I just don't think it's winnable. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little old fashioned, I guess. But they voted for the largest tax hike in history. The Democrats just voted for the largest tax hike in history. Democrats in Congress caused this, you know, the inflation. The fake news gets on me. You know, I have to be very accurate when I speak because they'll say, he's exaggerated. So the real number is 48 years. That inflation's the highest in 48 years. I don't believe that. I think it's the highest in history. But they say, he said history, and they say, but I'm okay with 48 years. 48 years is long enough. What do you think? But the real number they say is 48 years. I believe it's the highest inflation, and they caused it. And they then wanted to raise your tax. So their tax raise that they wanted was more than $5 trillion, which to each person is probably about $4,000 or $5,000. And they wanted to raise your taxes. The great big beautiful bill also slashed taxes on millions of American small businesses, including restaurants, dry cleaners, corner stores. What is a corner store? I've never heard that term. I know what a corner store is, but I've never heard it described, a corner store. Who the hell wrote that, please? And more. As of today, over 12 million small business flyers have paid nearly $7,000 less in taxes. So on average, your small businesses have paid about $7,000 less. That's a lot for a small business. In large part, thanks to our cuts today, the economy is booming. Our economy is booming. You know, you don't read about it. You don't see it so much because of what's going on in Iran, which is really, you know, it's been 2 months. I mean, 2 months. You've been in other wars for 18 years, 4 years with me. I'm in there for a month. Well, he said he'd get out. A month. Did you see where I did a list last week? 17 years in Vietnam and 5 years in Afghanistan and more, much more than that, and all these different places. And I said, we were in there for 2 months. And you know what? We're going to have victory very shortly. This is not... And against a very tough, smart country. These people were fighters. And, I don't want to claim it before the fact, but they have no Navy left. 158 ships at the bottom of the sea. 158, think of it. 158. I got angry. I said, why didn't you save them? We could have used them, They would rather shoot them than save them. I said, what the hell? It's only money. But some of them were good. They had one named the Soleimani. You know what the Soleimani? We took him out. He was the worst, one of the worst terrorists in the history of this country, this world. They killed many of our people. Many of our people have been killed. When you see a young soldier mostly going around without legs, without arms, with their faces so badly injured, it was Soleimani that did that. The roadside bombs, they were just terrible. He was the father of the roadside bomb. We killed him. And that had a big impact on Iran. Because he was, I think it maybe would be a different story if he were around. I mean, he was a horrible person, a horrible human being. He was a mad genius, but it probably would have been more difficult. We still would have won by fast, but it would have been not probably as fast as it has gone. In the report released last week, core inflation was down to the lowest level in 5 years. And very shortly, we're going to be probably 8 or 9 years. Don't forget, we're having some fake inflation because of the fuel, the energy prices, which everybody said was going to $250. We were talking about that, Scott. They said $250, $300. I mean, today, what was it? It finished at $89 or $90, right? And that's in the, we haven't settled yet. Maybe we won't, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. But think of that, how well we're doing, and we have this. A lot of people thought that inflation would be through the roof and the stock market would crash. Well, we just hit an all-time new stock market. So it's amazing. I had people, we have consultants, great guys that we both know, we see, and they're very talented. Sir, if you do this, fuel is going to go to $300 a barrel, right? One guy in particular who we like a lot. But I said, I don't think so. I think we're going to be good. We always find a way. You got to find a way. But, sir, don't do it, sir. $300 a barrel. It's going to be a wild thing. It's going to be horrible. The depression is going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen because we just hit a brand new all-time high. Then fuel's at 89. It's actually a lot lower than that in a lot of areas. So, but let's not get away from, let's see what happens over the next week or so. I think you're going to be very impressed. And if you are, vote for the Republicans in the midterms, okay? But the king of Saudi Arabia, a very smart guy, invested $2 trillion. We have Qatar, we have UAE, Saudi Arabia. The king of Saudi Arabia, they invested trillions of dollars in our country. And he said to me a year and a half ago, I was with him, he said, 2 years ago, you were a dead country. Everyone thought America was finished. We were a laughingstock with a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. He was so horrible. I mean, it's not even funny. It's like he was horrible. He allowed 25 million people into the country, totally unvetted and unchecked. And, that's a tough, we're still getting them out. And we had 11,888 murderers, 50% of whom murdered more than one people. Let into our country. They emptied their jails into America. But the king said, 2 years ago, you were a dead country. And now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Look at us. We're the hottest country in the world. So, pretty good, right? So, to talk more about these incredible things that are happening, I'm going to ask really a respected guy, a great guy, too. He's difficult, this guy. He's difficult, but he's great. And, when he speaks, the whole market gets soothed. When I speak, the market goes a little jittery. And they say, Scott, go out there, clean it up for me, Scott. But no, he's a fantastic guy. And Scott, you're going to say a few words. And then we're going to hear from a few of the people, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Officer, Cruz Littlefield, the co-founder and CEO of a local nonprofit called Power to Parent, Aaron Phillips, a bartender and makeup artist, Erica Cassell, and a longtime culinary worker, Nicole Williams. And then we're going to hear from a few others. We're going to go pretty quickly. But Scott, you want to say a few words, please? Thank you.
Yes, sir, and thank you. And Mr. President, it's an honor of a lifetime to be part of this administration. And I thought that your supporters here would like a little behind the scene of your incredible first year. This administration has gotten more done in the first year, and let me tell you how that happens. I remember going to see the president February 2024 at Mar-a-Lago, candidate Trump, and he was talking about no tax on tips. He said he'd been out here and he had the idea, no tax on tips. Service workers should keep their tips. Fast forward, July 2025, the working family tax cuts, the one big beautiful bill gets passed by Congress, and here we are, April 2026, within 24 months, President Trump's idea, it became the law of the land, and we are seeing record tax returns, and the people of Nevada, the people of Clark County, are way higher than the national average because of no tax on tips.
Thank you.
President Trump's policies are reviving the American dream. Yesterday was tax day, and under President Trump, we are celebrating how much more money hardworking Americans will keep, not how much the government will take. Thanks to President Trump and congressional Republicans, the working family tax cuts helps every American chart their own path. Throughout this tax season, I have heard from American workers, families, diner and restaurant owners, bartenders, waiters and waitresses, and communities across the country, and it is clear that workers and families are feeling the benefits. The administration is upholding the foundational principle that hardworking Americans should be rewarded with the fruits of their labor, not punished by tax hikes. And this tax season proves it. In households across America, 53 million filers had taken advantage of at least one of the president's signature tax cuts: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, enhanced tax relief for our great seniors, and the ability to deduct interest on new car loans, if it's an American car. And this is the refunds and the tax cuts have exceeded our expectations. Here in Las Vegas, millions of hardworking Americans have benefited, and I want you all to remember, every single Democrat voted against this program. So more than 6 million filers, they have taken the advantage of no tax on tips. 25 million filers, no tax on overtime. And this is what happens when policies are made for workers and not for DC. And also, as the head of the IRS, I want to also tell all of you two things. Go to trumpaccounts.gov if you have not registered your children for Trump accounts. It's very easy to remember, trumpaccounts.gov, and fill out form number 4547. For those of you who have children born during President Trump's term, Treasury will seed that account with $1,000. For those of you with children under 18, you can add to those accounts. Great philanthropists like Michael, Susan, Dell are adding to that. And the other thing, too, is I want to remind everyone, change your withholding. If you're getting a big tax return, a big tax refund this year, it's because you didn't change your withholding last year. If you change your withholding now, you'll get an automatic raise in your real income. Your weekly, monthly income will go up right here, right now. And I just want to thank President Trump for championing this program, because I can tell you, some of the more traditional Republicans on economics didn't want this to be part of the program. President Trump fought for this the whole way, and this is why we have a new, bigger Republican Party. It's because of policies like this. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Before I introduce, I just want to say two things to me very important. So right now in this country, we have more people working than at any time in the history of our country. Think of that. And also, that's pretty good. And while in Europe and a lot of other places, they're looking for oil, they're looking for gas, they want gasoline, they're having a hard time. We have a lot. So at this moment, right now, we have more oil production than Russia and Saudi Arabia by far. Russia and Saudi Arabia put together, if you add them up together, and by next year, it will be double that amount. So it's pretty amazing. Those two facts. More people working than ever before. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Officer Cruz Littlefield, please.
Mr. President, thank you so much and welcome to Las Vegas. My name is Cruz Littlefield. I'm a local police officer and a Las Vegas native. I have a deep appreciation for the city and have made it my calling to now protect and serve those who also call it home. With the passage of the great, big, beautiful bill, my wife and I have benefited from the elimination of taxes on overtime, allowing us to stretch every dollar in an increasingly expensive world. With less financial stress, I'm able to be a better and effective asset to my community and more present with my family. We also just welcomed our newborn baby girl a week ago, and have already contacted our CPA to make sure that the Trump account gets started and set up.
That's good. That's great.
Thanks to you, we're now securing her a better financial future than we were ever given as kids. Mr. President, thank you for your time. And thank you for your continued efforts to support the American people, especially here in Las Vegas. I have family and friends, this is my brother.
Oh, good.
But I have family and friends in Las Vegas who are barbers, small business owners, bartenders, and first responders. And every burden lifted for them is a step towards a stronger and safer community. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Cruz. Good job. Terrific. Good job. The co-founder and CEO of a local nonprofit doing really well called Power to Parent, Erin Phillips.
I'm right here, actually. Hi. I'm Erin Phillips. It's an honor to be here as a mom and a founder of this nonprofit organization. We believe that empowered parents protect kids. And so everything we do flows out of that idea. And as a mom of 5, this is deeply personal to me. It's not just something that, I talk about regularly. We've seen so many families, especially in our community, that feel outmatched by systems. And so what we do is we try to empower them to advocate for themselves through policy and really just help with their children's education in general and any issue that is a parental rights issue. So that's what we do. And I just want to thank you for what you've done in regards to protecting women's sports. We know that, when we protect women's sports, we're really protecting the opportunities that our daughters have. And I have daughters myself, and so it's so important. And so many girls have already been hurt. So thank you for what you've done on that level. And then, it also helps them know that they're worth protecting and that they matter. And I think that's something that we haven't shown our girls prior to this. One more thing that I just really want to highlight is the federal tax credit scholarship. And I just need you to know that this is a game changer for families and who feel stuck. I think oftentimes we have these families that I already mentioned that they feel outmatched by systems and they are stuck in a system that is not working for their child. And so what this scholarship does is it expands education freedom. And it gives parents the power to choose the right education for their children. And families that we serve in our community, it means hope, it means access, it means a future for their children that they otherwise wouldn't be able to afford. And we are already preparing to help families access this money here in Nevada. So thank you for that. And lastly, I just want to say that I'm grateful for your leadership because you recognize the critical role that families play. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. Thank you, Erin. Good job. Thank you very much. Bartender and makeup artist Erica Cassell.
Hi, President Trump. I'm a makeup artist and a bartender here in Las Vegas. I just wanted to say thank you for all you've done for us. I know as a bartender, the no tax on tips is amazing, especially, I'm gonna start crying, guys, expecting mom. It's great for my daughter as well. The Trump account's also amazing. So thank
Great.
you so much.
Thank you very much. Good. Well, you enjoy it, and good luck. Good job. Thank you, Barry. And a longtime culinary worker, great person, Nicole Williams. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole.
Hello, Mr. President. I am a longtime bartender on the Las Vegas Strip, and I first heard the idea of no tax on tips mentioned to me by my friend Alita, who helped manage your campaign in Nevada, and she's amazing. She mentioned it to me, and I started thinking about like what an awesome idea it was, because in Nevada we have what is called a tip compliance. Not a lot of people know about that, where the IRS comes in and they say, you're gonna make this amount of tips in an hour, we're gonna tax you on that. Even if you don't make that amount of tips, you're gonna get taxed on it. So I thought that would be an incredible opportunity to keep some more cash in my pocket. So then she reached out, and I actually spoke at an event for you for No Tax on Tips. I spoke with you the day that Robert Kennedy endorsed you for president, which was an amazing experience, so thank you for that. And so I did campaign for you, and I was like, I want to see this policy come to fruition. So when I heard about the One Big Beautiful Bill and that being included in it, it was just a reminder that it's promises made, promises kept for you. And so to see that come to fruition was amazing, and I do have 7 children, so the earned income tax credit for them is going to be helpful as well. Waiting on my husband, who's in real estate, to get his receipts together, so, but we will expect to see a greater tax return we can use for a car, or, for our son going to school, like a trade school, it's our oldest child. So we're very excited, and I just want to thank you so much for getting that done for the people and for my family.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you, Nicole. And, just in wrapping up, a man who's been with me, I think every event I've done out here, is your lieutenant governor, highly respect. He's really a good man. He's been to every event. Stavros Anthony. Stavros.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary, first of all, welcome to the greatest city in the world, Las Vegas, and to the great state of Nevada. So one of my responsibilities as a lieutenant governor is the chairman of the Nevada Tourism Commission. So I work with a great group of individuals to promote tourism in Las Vegas and in the state of Nevada. And there's a lot of reasons why people come to Las Vegas and keep coming back to Las Vegas. And one of those is because we have the greatest hospitality employees in the world here in Las Vegas. Absolutely. And we all remember 2 years ago you had another one of your massive rallies here in Nevada. It was actually at Sunset Park, just south of here. And you made this no tax on tips pledge. And everybody heard it for the first time, and people were just excited. And as Nicole mentioned, it wasn't just a pledge, but you did it. So on behalf of all the hospitality workers here in Las Vegas and Nevada, thank you for putting more money in the pockets of our families. Thank you. And just one other thing. I'm a former captain with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I know how much overtime these police officers work and how much overtime a lot of employees work. And for you to make that pledge and come through and no taxes on overtime, again, thank you very much for putting money in the pockets of our families. God bless you all.
Thank you, Stavros. So I just want to say this is a special state. It's a special place. We've done so well here. I have so many friends here. It was great before I ran for politics, ran for office, and right up till this moment, and even this event, there's a lot of love. It's just such love. And, those 3 things, but especially here, but really here it's all 3. It's overtime, right? And it's, you take a look at the tips. The tips are, I don't even know which is the biggest. You could probably take a poll. And it's Social Security. No tax on Social Security. Who would think? And when I did it, it was a pretty big number. Could I ask you, which is the best of the three? No tax on, clap, no tax on Social Security. That's not bad. Okay, ready? No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. You know, I think Social Security won. Hey, so much for no tax on tips. I think Social Security won. Hey, I just want to thank you all. We love you all. The country is doing really well. We're respected all over the world. We are respected, I think like never before. Thank you. I think like never before. And thank you all very much. God bless you all. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Well, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was shorter than I expected, but it wasn't really a rally. He was just there to talk to some people. And I also think there's probably some things going on behind the scenes as well. But no tax on Social Security, I think, got a louder yell because there was older people in the audience, because the younger people are probably working right now. Actually, what time is it? It's 9 o'clock here, 6 o'clock or so in Vegas. So they're probably heading to their work spot. So they probably are enjoying their no tax on tips. Again, as I've been saying, and it's got to begin sinking in, and he keeps talking about it. How do you compete? On this side, we want you to keep as much of your money as possible. And on their side, they want to take as much money as possible. I think the only way it works for them is that they brainwashed enough people to tax the rich, eat the rich. And the problem is they've defined basically anybody with any money is rich. You might make 100 grand a year. Oh, you're rich. We need to take your money. You might make 80 grand a year. Oh, we need to tax the rich. Oh, you own a house, boomer? We need to have property taxes. Now we know it's clear. I feel all the other stuff going into the midterms, this is going to be a main issue. Do you want to keep more of your money, or do you want to have them take more of your money? And I think we're going to hear that all the way to November. And I think that's going to be a defining message. You want it? Can we take it? No, not can we take it. We're going to take it. Because that seems like all the Democrats care about. They just keep re-emphasizing it. So it's going to be pretty easy to see the difference at this point. SB, what's going on? You got anything before I get out of here?
No, the feed is full of all the comments about Trump. I saw what you just posted. I totally agree. Nothing is free. Anything the government gives to you is taken from someone else.
Yeah,
they don't understand that. I mean, they want to take. Scream.
And I just want to say, if I had a disclaimer button, full disclaimer, I am not greedy at all. I try to do as much as possible for people that need help and everything else. But again, it's my own decision. And this whole thing with the ballroom, they don't want people donating. They want it in the form of taxes. It's just none of it makes any sense. None of it. So
I know.
just so we know, tomorrow, President Trump, Eastern time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, is going to be talking at Phoenix, Arizona for TPUSA. So I wonder if Erica Kirk is going to show up at that event or not.
Okay.
Have you heard
So
anything?
you're going to one show a day? Is that what you're trying to do now? One show?
Well, Fridays I always do one show.
Yeah, but you were talking earlier in the week that you were thinking about that. I think some people were asking in the chat.
Yeah, as you can hear, I'm still trying. It's all right here right now. My voice can't handle it. I did 2 yesterday.
Yeah.
Whoa, hey,
2.
man. Hey,
Hey,
I did
you're slacking,
2
man. You're
yesterday.
slacking.
Wow. I did 2 shows and I posted a video. So yeah, that's in essence 3. My gosh. I try to recuperate
People
on the
forget.
weekend. Huh?
People forgot when we did the 4 rallies. That was the best day. Remember
4
that?
in
We
a,
were on
oh my
lunch.
God, 4 in a day.
Oh, that was like 15 hours that day. I mean,
Crazy.
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I did 2 yesterday. And today I had to do a lot of stuff with real estate. Went and looked at a house, and then Ashley's coming down Monday. So we're foregoing our trip to Washington for one reason. I don't want to go up there and be bullcrap too. I don't want people BSing me. And I'm like, you know what? I can do better by going and looking at a couple properties we want to buy and still do a show in the afternoon. That's why we kind of slacked off on the guests, because they say the same stuff. I want you to tell me something if I ask you a question, and they'll dance around it because they're just politicians. Yeah. So I mean, we made. I still haven't shown you that interview with what's his name? Mark Beckman, Melania's producer. I'm going to try and show that tomorrow, but there's been so much news. So I'll do that as a pre-show for tomorrow. I'm not going to do an after party tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this press conference with Pete Hegseth and General Kane. In case people haven't seen it, I'll let this run in its entirety, and you guys can hear that, because you only got to hear like about 10 minutes of it before President Trump came on. So I will see you tomorrow. SB's poking me. Maybe I'll do a earlier show as well. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
I'm not poking. I was just curious. Your fans were asking.
I'm trying to get my voice back after screaming at the Santana concert and then getting a cold. You can hear it's still kind of raspy and it breaks up and I cough. So I feel fine. No temperature. No nasally stuff. I just haven't gotten my voice back yet fully. As soon as that comes, I'll be fine.
You need some time out by the pool in the sun. Get the vitamin C.
And all I've got all my my bright core stuff down here.
Okay.
What else I got down here? I got that one's 4. That one's fortified. Then I got this one, which is like, I got like a pharmacy down here of stuff that I take. All kinds of supplements that Robin has me taking. And it's funny because like all the the different partners we have on the show, I won't talk about something unless I take it myself and see how it works. And so my recovery was very quick, but I just haven't got my voice back. I have to keep drinking tea.
All right. Well,
all right, brother.
Continue to feel better, brother.
I will see you tomorrow, and let's finish off this this press conference as the after party.
Addiction and seizure transiting to or from Iranian ports. Turn around or prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force. And as this message is being transmitted, as I mentioned earlier, those ship masters can literally see, sense, and feel the pressure around them. It's a finely tuned machine, rehearsed multiple times, and executed now 13 times since the blockade has begun. Next slide, please. We're now 24 hours plus into the blockade. You can see the turning around of multiple ships, 12 of which stayed inside the blockade line, one of which not depicted off to the eastern side, turned around before even attempting it. Any ship that would cross the blockade would result in our sailors executing pre-planned tactics designed to bring the force to that ship, if need be, board the ship and take her over. And that includes a series of escalated force options, which could include warning shots and others. Next slide. The final graphic shows taken at 11:20 p.m. the night of 14 April. You can see that the captains of all these ships.
Wait. I just I just got the text. I forgot to do super chats. I never want to forget super chats because it's so appreciative of it. Let me go back here and do the super chats before I leave. I almost forgot that. See? All right, here we go. Pekovsky, thank you very much. Did you send an email with your actual address, Pekovsky, for the hat? Because I don't have I can't send it to Pekovsky. Give me a name and an email. I mean a mailing address. Lou Frada, thank you very much. I felt it is time to tip again because I love this fanfare family. Thank you for the laughs with truthful information. Prosperity rocks all. Let's all get some. Thank you very much. Mariah, look forward to the rally. Thank you. I think that was we thought it was a rally, ended up being a roundtable. They need to get money for the election. No USAID. I completely agree with you in that regard. No USAID. Making six figures, you might be a billionaire if you made six figures. That's what they're trying to say. Big Cat, thanks for Rally Day, Barry. You're number one. Tomorrow, I think it's going to be more of a rally type, so make sure you tune in tomorrow. Chiosop, it's sabotage. That did sound funny, didn't it? Sounded like I don't know what that was. And Neo, thank you, Barry, for all you do. Please do best all you need. Great show as always. MAGA is strong and winning. Thank you very much. All right, guys, I almost forgot that, but I didn't. Before I turned everything off, I saw the text and everything else. All right, let's get back to the presser and to take the night.
Have made the wise decision not to move, transit, or run this blockade. As I mentioned, so far 13 ships have made the wise choice of turning around. And as we continue to hold this blockade at the order of the Secretary and the President, any vessel that compares to comply with our instructions will be dealt with accordingly. As of this morning, U.S. Central Command has not been required to board any particular ships. And I'll remind you that we are also conducting similar maritime interdiction actions and activities in the Pacific AOR against those ships that left that area before we began the blockade. Before I turn it over to Admiral Cooper, I want to talk briefly today about the men and women enforcing the blockade, America's sailors and Marines, and today particularly our destroyer and surface forces. When we talk about an American destroyer, it's important that you and the American people understand their capabilities. An Arleigh Burke-class destroyer are the backbone of the United States Navy surface fleet. Over 500 feet long, they displace 9,000 tons, and it is the sports car of the United States Navy. From the keel to the mast, they stand nearly 10 stories tall, and their 4 gas turbine engines can drive the ship at 30-plus knots. These ships are armed to the teeth with surface-to-air missiles, land attack cruise missiles, anti-ship missiles, anti-submarine rockets, torpedoes, 5-inch naval guns, multiple electronic warfare systems, embarked helicopters, extending the reach and capability of each and every one of these destroyers. But far and away, the most important weapon on board these ships is the American sailor. Over 300 warfighters are the heart and soul of these warships. at sea sometimes for months, and these ships out in the CENTCOM AOR have been out there for months. They operate around the clock in a constant state of readiness, always delivering for our joint force. It's hot in the engine room. The engineering team keeps the lights on and the ship powered and able to respond to the orders from the bridge. On that bridge, our sailors maintain a constant watch, maneuvering the ship tactically and safely through always congested water space. And there is a lot out there. It is like driving a sports car through a supermarket parking lot on a payday weekend with thousands of kids in that parking lot as you attempt to maneuver through there to get to that ship that would attempt to run that blockade. Down in the Combat Information Center, the CIC, the Tactical Warfare Center of the ship, that is where the decisions are made. As threats appear, these young sailors are making real-time decisions on how to identify these threats and handle them, and they always deliver. These ships are run by the youngest sailors in our surface warfare Navy. The helmsman, the sailor on the watch at the bridge, is normally just between 18 to 19 years old, and they are trusted to drive this warship through that supermarket parking lot without hitting anything. The conning officer, an equally young commissioned officer who's normally just a few years out of college, is the ones that are giving that young helmsman the orders on where to take that American warship to execute the mission that the Secretary and the President has given us. These are incredibly well-trained sailors. They are led by incredible leaders, salty, experienced leaders, and trusted with deep responsibility. And I'm so humbled and proud of America's Navy. These sailors choose to take the road less traveled to go into the historic surface Navy, and they deliver every single day. Finally, as I often do, I want to highlight one of those surface sailors today and remember our fallen. Today we remember Ensign Robert Thompson of the U.S. Laffey, who died on this day in 1945 in the Battle of Okinawa. He was killed while fighting a fire along with 31 others as 2 Japanese kamikaze aircraft hit their ship. He passed away 1 week after his 22nd birthday and was posthumously awarded the Navy Cross. We remember Ensign Thompson today and all of our World War II vets who continue to give us the gift of a great example. And those surface warfare sailors who are out there doing the job right now take the courage, grit, and determination that those World War II vets gave us into these actions and activities that they're tasked to do every single day. So now I'd like to turn it over to Admiral Cooper to give us a readout of his recent trip to the region.
Well, good morning, and Mr. Secretary, thank you for the kind invitation, and Chairman, great to join you. It's a real honor to be here representing the more than 50,000 American service members deployed throughout the Middle East today, supporting operations. And it's great to have the opportunity to highlight the tremendous efforts our warfighters operating forward and the important partnerships with regional allies that continue to thrive. In fact, yesterday I returned from my second trip to the Middle East in the past 15 days. 2 very different visits. One during our offensive operations against Iran, and the second in this most recent trip during the ongoing ceasefire. Very different. During both of my recent trips, I visited with our troops who were deployed across the region in more than 70 different locations, in a distance that largely spans between Florida and Arizona. I've long believed that every success that we have starts and ends with our people, and boy does this shine through brightly. During these visits, I had the privilege of personally recognizing more than 100 servicemen and women for their extraordinary valor, their courage, and their initiative under fire and delivering fire. And every time I interact with these young men and women downrange, I am deeply inspired by their courage, their resilience, and their unwavering commitment. The stories are remarkable. In many cases, you've seen this play out over TV. Fighter pilots who took out Iranian missile launchers in the moments prior to their launch against Americans and our partners, and who hit key military targets in and around Tehran on the attack more than 13,000 times. I met with some of the teams that helped to bring our F-15 airmen home safely from Iran and heard first-person accounts of the stories. Absolute heroes. I spent time with our troops who are employing cutting-edge tactics and technology for the first time in warfare. I won't be able to talk about what those are, but these young men and women are breaking new ground. It's incredibly inspiring. I met with teams who launched our own one-way attack drones into Iran. These were originally Iranian-designed drones. We brought them back to America, took the guts out, put a Made American stamp on them, and fired them right back to Iran. Very effective. I met with teams who are employing AI every single day to help us sift through vast amounts of information to help us make decisions faster. And importantly, humans are always in the loop in this process. I met with our Space Force teams and our cyber specialists whose work cannot be discussed, but who serve with indispensable impact. I met with our logisticians and sustainers all over the region. There is just no military that executes logistics like the U.S. military. This group is doing exceptional work, moving thousands of tons every single day. I met with our air defenders who shot down Iranian ballistic missiles. My message for this group in particular is that their actions most certainly saved thousands of lives across the Middle East during Epic Fury. And all told, my personal assessment is, after these couple of trips, is our troops are highly motivated, they're focused, they're vigilant, and they're ready. And they're using this time to do a couple of things. We're rearming, we're retooling, and we're adjusting our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There's no military in the world that adjusts like we do, and that's exactly what we're doing right now during the ceasefire. A little note about partners. My discussion with regional allies and partners, both at the senior civilian level and the senior military level, reinforced our shared commitment to regional security. But beyond that, having now fought together side by side, I assess that our military partnerships are stronger than ever as we continue to maintain a very active defense posture across the region during this ceasefire. And that posture stretches across the entire Arabian Peninsula, and it runs from northern Iraq all the way down into the northern Arabian Gulf. In creating the largest air defense umbrella in the world across the Middle East, we embedded specially trained U.S. military air defenders alongside our partner nation soldiers, side by side, literally side by side. And to give you a sense of their contribution and impact, the King and Crown Prince of Bahrain both personally knew our soldiers by name. These leaders expressed appreciation for our service member who continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with our partners in support of regional defense. And this is a sentiment that is widely shared across every Gulf ally. I heard this message over and over again, which is, we stand with you. As the Secretary and the Chairman have said, Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan have been exceptional teammates. I had a chance to meet with both their senior leadership as well as their troops. Boy, equally inspiring and equally committed to mutual defense. They defended Americans and they defended their own country. It was inspiring. And there's been no better teammate than Israel. Together, the four best air forces in the world, the Israeli Air Force, the U.S. Air Force, and the air forces of the U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps, together met and exceeded our own military objectives over and over again. Twice in the past 2 weeks, I've met with the Israeli Chief of Defense to ensure that we remain closely aligned, and we do. And then finally, let me just close by saluting the brave men and women who are in uniform and who continue to answer the call with unrivaled lethality, great teamwork, and resolve. We've asked them to stay ready during this period, and that's exactly what they're doing. I couldn't be prouder, and I know that you and the American people share in that same pride. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll take a few questions. Go ahead.
Thank you. Alexandra Ingersoll, One American News. How is the Iranians' decimated command and control affecting the ceasefire at this juncture? Ergo, how are we enforcing a ceasefire with an enemy who has virtually no command and control? And then one other question about the Houthis being, have the Houthis been an issue in the Straits of Hormuz and the Bab al-Mandab Strait at the Red Sea? Are we tracking that militarily?
Appreciate that. On the ceasefire front, it's right. Their command and control capabilities are highly degraded. So their ability to talk, see, sense is at the worst it's ever been. But their motivation to want to stay in the ceasefire is very high because they understand that a violation of that ceasefire means a commencement, once again, of Admiral Cooper's forces, which went very poorly for them. So they have a high incentive to maintain that ceasefire, even though they can't talk and organize as well as they'd like to. And then as far as the Houthis, thus far, they have stayed out of it, which of course we think is a good decision by them, and I think is a reflection of the fact that over a year ago in Operation Rough Rider, we had an ongoing and intense campaign that demonstrated American capabilities, which has them hesitating to want to do something on that strait, which I think would be a poor choice. Right here.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary, gentlemen. David Zier, Real America's Voice. As commercial shipping ramps up, you know, there was 130 ships a day going through there. As that happens, ships have to anchor up, right, and wait to pass through the narrow strait. Is there any progress with an international force to phase out U.S. military-led escorts or other? Is anyone stepping up to do that?
It's a great question.
Long term.
They should be. There's a lot of talk, and what we've seen in this conflict from allies, and those is a lot of talk, except for the ones that were mentioned by Admiral Cooper in the region who've been phenomenal. Other allies have talked a lot and haven't done anything. And as the president has pointed out, this is a waterway that the American commerce doesn't use all that much. We don't rely on the energy coming out of the Strait of Hormuz, but Asia does, and Europe does, and large parts of the rest of the world do. And so their ability to muster a collective defense or a clearing of the straits would be a wonderful thing. And we hear and see the talk about it, but when shots were fired and those countries were needed the most, they weren't there. They weren't in the strait. They weren't alongside us. Their leaders weren't rallying what they have of their navies. If they decide after CENTCOM does the heavy lifting, which again, they should be able to do. We should live in a world where other countries can defend waterways, not just the United States Navy. Should that conclude, which we believe it will, then we would welcome other countries coming in after the fact. But you can't live in a world in perpetuity, and this is a message to the rest of the world and our allies, where you just rely on America to continually do the heavy lifting. Oh, Iran might get a nuclear bomb. Who's going to do something about it? America, and America only. Other allies need to invest in their capabilities so they can project power and do basic tasks like clearing a strait. So we're not counting on it, but it would be wonderful to see it if it ever materialized. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you all for your time. I have a couple questions. I know you said a few weeks ago that Iran's supreme leader was wounded and disfigured. Do you have an update on whether he's even alive at this point? And then another question for you. Iranian embassy accounts are sharing an AI video of Jesus Christ kind of bloodily killing President Donald Trump. Does the Pentagon have a response to this, including the fact that this AI Jesus is casting Trump into hell? And then finally, for Admiral Cooper, could you speak to us about the morale of the American service members that you're seeing in the Middle East? I think Americans are really interested in what their experiences and testimonies are like.
As far as the status of the individual you mentioned, I believe it's the same. Not a lot coming from him right now, understandably so, a lot of fear. Believed to be alive, wounded, and disfigured. Status remains the same. As far as a video like that, of course, that's disgusting and detached from reality. Iran says a lot of things in the propaganda space based on complete lies, and their actions have been lies. Oh, we don't target, we see missiles going into civilian facilities and hotels in the Gulf states. And they say we only target military targets as you watch drones and missiles go into. So they are going to misrepresent, lie, spin in a multitude of ways, which we are quite used to. Ultimately, they need to come to the table and make a deal. And I'll hand it over to Admiral Cooper for this.
Yeah, I would just reiterate my previous comment. Morale is very high. And anyone in the military can take about 2 seconds to figure out what morale looks like by meeting around it with the people. And it is crystal clear. These are motivated young men and women. I had the wonderful privilege of writing a letter early on in the operation to the team forward. And I told them this was going to be a mission of extreme consequence. And serving at a time where you are making a difference, consequential, as the Secretary and the Chairman have described over and over again, is incredibly and deeply meaningful. And I think that's the key part of the drive, as well as being great teammates across the board. It's a privilege to watch.
Jerry.
Thank you. Jerry Dunleavy with Just the News. I have a couple of questions. First is some critics of the Trump administration policy, including former NCTC Director Joe Kent have attempted to claim that the Trump administration's policy of zero enrichment for the Iranians is not actually President Trump's policy, but was foisted upon him by the Israelis. Looking back, doing a bit of a refresher for myself, I saw that zero enrichment was the Trump State Department's policy in the first admin.
Let me just stop for a second. As someone who, unlike the individual you referenced, is in the presence of the president nearly every day and has been inside every single key meeting that has happened surrounding the idea of Operation Epic Fury, not a single thing has been foisted upon the President of the United States. President Trump makes his own decisions about the interests of this country and defending our interests, and then working with allies and partners, in this case, Israel, who's got a lot of will and a lot of capabilities, which we're grateful for. Nothing gets foisted on President Trump. So those people who are not in those meetings who like to say things about that are just flat wrong.
I had a quick one for Admiral Cooper, if that's
Sure.
okay. Thank you, sir, and thank you for being here. So during Operation Epic Fury, 13 U.S. service members have lost their lives, some of them in an apparent aircraft refueling accident, and some of them from Iranian strikes, including a drone strike. I was wondering if you could share a little bit with us about how that those Iranian strikes were able to be successful, and what lessons you've learned, and how you're applying those lessons in the future to make sure that we're able to defend a little bit better against that sort of
Sure,
thing.
a really broad question, but first, we will always honor the fallen, and the 13 who lost their lives really helped steel the resolve and congeal the motivation of the forces that are I met many people who knew the fallen personally. I met many who were reported as wounded and are back. 90% of those who have been wounded have been back to duty. It gives you a sense of purpose and motivation. We have collected dozens, if not hundreds, of lessons learned. And as we sit here right now, the Joint Force across the board is taking them and very tactically applying them right now, right here, right now. If I think about a football analogy, if it's halftime or between the third and fourth quarter, great teams are always adjusting, and we are certainly a great team, and that's what we're doing right now, taking the lessons and applying them in a meaningful way. What those are, I'm not going to talk about.
I'll say they extend also outside of CENTCOM and across the rest of the Joint Force. We are a learning organization, so adversaries around the world should recognize that and be aware of that.
No doubt. And likewise, I mean, the chairman and I have had the opportunity to greet those 13 and their families at Dover, and it does steel our resolve. And I can just attest to the planning that went into every aspect of this, and force protection, ensuring that CENTCOM has whatever it needs and that they're taking the proper posture has always been number one in this effort. Last question.
Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. There's reporting that says U.S. intelligence indicates China is preparing weapons shipments to Iran during this ceasefire. What's your reaction? Are these reports accurate, and what would be the consequences for the Chinese if they move forward with these shipments?
Well, as you know, President Trump has a very strong and direct relationship with President Xi, and they've communicated on that, and China has assured us that that indeed is not going to happen, and in the spirit of the meeting they'll have next month. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.